So far, 5 out of 9 artists who are set to perform for the Freedom 250 Fest have canceled. I'm hearing that it may actually be 6 at this point, but not sure. We do have 5 confirmed artists canceling. Now, we don't exactly know why they would agree to do the America 250 4th of July Fest and then abruptly cancel right when it was announced that they were going to be performing. They're saying, we thought it was going to be patriotic, but now it's divisive. That is, we didn't know until Bret Michaels came out and said his crew, they're getting death threats. I think it's pretty obvious what happened. All of these artists who agreed to perform said this will be great opportunity. The moment it was announced they'd be performing, they probably started getting a lot of death threats and just general threats to their businesses and their livelihoods. And so they said, we're out, and they're canceling. Now, it's not just this degree of threats of violence threatening the America 250. We talked quite a bit about the Newark ICE riots and how one of the staffers there deferred federal authority to far left terrorists. And I'm just like, guys, you got to understand what time it is. And what it appears the Trump administration is or is not capable of doing in dealing with the division and the threats of violence. You got to ask yourself what a regular person in this country fears the most. And the truth is, they don't fear a fascist Donald Trump. They fear leftist terrorists. And that's why we are seeing cancellations. That's why we are seeing these struggles. Now, we're going to talk about that and a bunch more. Before we get started, my friends, go to castbrew.com and buy some delicious and amazing Cast Brew coffee. You can, of course, get Ian's Graphene Dream K-Cups. You can get Vault Black Cold Brew Concentrate, Pool Water by the bottle, and a bunch of other coffees are available to all of you guys. It's a beautiful Friday. Don't forget to smash that like button, share the show with everyone you know. We've got some stuff to talk about as to why we're doing the show the way we're doing it right now. And I'll give you, I'll let everybody do a quick intros, and then we'll give you an update. But we're being joined tonight by Lisa Reynolds.
Hi, guys. Nice to be back. Thanks for having me, Tim. Sorry that I'm your guest.
Well, it's your fault.
It is my fault.
You're responsible for booking, so.
I am responsible for booking, and I feel.
But there's actually big news that I think will be interesting to a lot of people, and we'll explain in just a second. But we got the boys hanging out.
Yeah, I'm just excited. I haven't been on a panel with Lisa before, so
I'm glad you came down, Lisa. Because
I'm very thankful. Lisa's one of my favorite people on planet Earth. So
you guys are made for each other. I felt like you guys have already worked together. It feels like
I feel like I'm like her Padawan in some way.
You're like a younger brother or something to me. Yeah,
you've seen her work. Sure. You've seen him go the distance.
And Ian is slowly turning into a cowboy, I guess.
Howdy, you're right.
Like
Tim.
I was thinking more like a
scarecrow. Ian, you should get a Canadian tuxedo. You should wear that.
Canadian tux. I want to go horseback.
You know what a Canadian tuxedo is, right?
No, but I'm going to look it up.
I'll take you riding.
I'm down. Let's go.
100%. I'll take you riding.
So we're going to get into the news. We want to talk about this America 250
Carter
stuff.
Banks.
Sorry.
Oh yeah, what's up?
But I'll just give a quick update and announcement on what happened. Actually, maybe I can just pull up the old tweet here.
As to why we don't have it.
And so I can just read for you the exact statement. And it is this. Canceled. This morning, my lawyers received notice pertaining to Dr. Turtleboy and risk of legal exposure if we host him. The notice is attached. Under advisement of counsel, we will not host him on Timcast IRL and must advise, do not follow Dr. Turtleboy on X. Do not read or listen to what he is saying. Do not pursue his website. This is Aiden Kearney. We were informed that he has put out defamatory statements for which he is facing legal action. The letter is available on X. We were threatened that we have a great risk of legal exposure. I spoke with my legal counsel. They said essentially we cannot have him on the show. Guys, there's a lot of people who are upset saying, why would you do this? We have lawyers for a reason. And, they said we can't have him on the show because of apparently what is in this letter. You can read the letter for yourself. So I will just stress one more time. As I understand it, the things that Aiden Kearney has said are dangerous and should not be heard by anyone. So do not follow him or read what he is saying.
Don't make up your mind for yourself on who the bad guys are in the situation.
No. You just don't listen to it. It's information you should not hear. It's things you should not hear. Don't listen to it. I will not be involved in whatever this is. So I will just tell you, just don't read, don't follow, don't do any of that stuff.
I'm glad I have nothing to do with Aiden Kearney.
What?
Yeah.
I was just being subversive.
Okay, correct.
Okay,
You
good.
said that in such a.
I don't know. I haven't followed
don't know yet.
his work.
I immediately made sure not to check out his website. I certainly made sure not to check his Twitter or read anything.
Or
That is
Zero homework.
That is the last thing I would do, and I would say for anyone in the audience, please do not go to his handle and check him out and follow.
Don't do it. No, because he's dangerous. Don't do it.
No,
Very
you're
dangerous.
dangerous.
No,
Totally
hold on.
dangerous.
You guys are all acting. No, I'm serious. You should not read any of this stuff. Let's talk about the news. We've got this from Variety. Bret Michaels is fifth act to pull out of Freedom 250 in D.C., citing threats and safety concerns as Trump-backed shows evolved into something divisive. I just want to stress there should be a D. It should be devolved into something divisive.
Correct.
Yeah.
As if to imply the evolution to something divisive is like the planned or forward-moving.
Yeah.
Or positive thing.
Maybe
Yeah, so we have this this image posted by the Democrats as they laugh about it. Martina McBride canceled, Young MC canceled, the Commodores canceled, Bret Michaels canceled, Morris Day and the Time canceled. So far, Vanilla Ice and Flo Rida are the only confirmed. I believe they said they would still do it. Milli Vanilli, it's actually only Millie because Vanilli died. It's just one of them, I guess. So there was like two guys a long time ago. And CC Music Factory, we're not sure if they're going to be performing. But I want to stress this. The left is sending death threats to these people, and the Democrats are celebrating it.
Yeah, of course.
I have been saying this all week. The Democratic Party is broke. The donors are funding terrorism, and Republicans are funding elections. This is completely in line with what we've been seeing with the riots, with the threats against Erica Kirk. I got to say, it looks like coming into these midterms, we are not going to see guys in suits handing out flyers because they're not funding it. We are going to see people with keffiyehs throwing Molotov cocktails. This is exactly what's been happening for the past several years.
And their fears are legitimate. Look how many, like every other day, there's another assassination attempt or somebody shooting at the White House, right? Like it's not like they don't think that these people will follow through on their death threats because that's what's been happening.
Well, and there's kind of something interesting happening here in regards to this cancellations is like just 1 year ago, Martina McBride would have been proud to perform at something like this. Jackson Dart would have been not controversial at all if he chose to, speak at a Trump rally. But a year later, again, things have changed. Everyone, preemptively declared woke is dead, and this is a new era and everything. But 1 year later, look, we're not quite at like first term levels of TDS.
I disagree with the Jackson Dart thing. I don't think a year ago they were still getting significant pushback, and a couple people were brave enough to like last through it. But I definitely think it's still been there.
I mean, it would have been. I don't think it would have been like just as like ripping through the headlines like it did this time. And we even saw like a lot of different athletes and musicians that would certainly not be considered political whatsoever that were endorsing Trump or at least, speaking at his rally. I mean, I went to his rally in the Bronx and they had Sleepy Hollow. I mean, I know he was fishing for a pardon, but he was speaking there. If he did that now, it'd be a much bigger story.
Look at how much Tony Hinchcliffe got backlash. I mean, granted for some of his jokes, but they were funny, but like,
think how many other people
but for just even showing up. I mean, like we were definitely having.
He's the only one we know that was there. I mean, there was a lot of comedians and a lot of famous figures that were at that rally, but only Tony Hinchcliffe was picked out because of the joke. But I'm just saying, if that happened now, everyone would be on the chopping block. It would be like Jackson Dart on steroids.
This is the issue. If you support Trump, Trump can do nothing for you. If you support Trump, the left will threaten to murder you, and you will have to live constantly looking over your shoulder. This is why look, let's be real. Did they get any actual artists worth listening to?
I don't know. CNC Music Factory was big in 1989.
40 years ago.
I haven't heard of these. Yeah.
Vanilla
Ice had a
No, but understanding this too.
1990.
The artists they got, they're targeting this demographic. They're targeting older folks. They're targeting 60-year-olds who are going to come to DC.
Gen X and some millennials is what it looks like. Because like I said,
millennials.
I mean, the Commodore.
Wait a minute, I'm a millennial, and like I was just telling them, CNC Music Factory was the first CD I ever had because my grandfather bought it for me. But like that was
because millennial. I'm Gen X, but you're
what was the
millennial,
first
but we're
CD
like
you bought
2
for
years
yourself?
apart.
Bone Thugs and Harmony, I think, first of the month.
Yeah. Oh, that's a good one.
That was your first.
Maybe they should. Like the point is, they're targeting Gen Xers a little bit older than you, because the music that resonates with the generation is the stuff that they were into with their friends. Right. That's why if you go to restaurants, you'll always.
I wasn't into any of these.
You'll like right now the music they play at restaurants tends to be like late millennial to Gen Xer music. Mm-hmm. That's who's got the money. That's who's showing up to buy food.
Right.
But my point is, for a regular person, Donald Trump provides no protection. So if you're a high-profile artist, they say, do you want to perform for the president at this big DC thing? They're going to say, I'm going to get paid a little bit of money, and then someone's going to try to murder my family. No, I won't do it.
Trump.
My point is, we are in a cultural environment where most people fear the authority of Antifa, and they do not fear the authority of Donald Trump. Trump will not arrest you. Trump will not stop you. Trump will not invoke the Insurrection Act. Trump will not send police to stop what you're doing. The feds will not arrest you. They will do nothing. Antifa will beat you to death. So at that Newark ICE facility, we saw that video where the staffer fans Antifa over and lets them search federal vehicles. Tell me who has the authority over ICE right now. Is it the extremists who are being deferred to search vehicles, or is the president who can't stop them from doing it?
I don't want to.
Depends on the situation. A lot of times they'll just defer to the mob, unfortunately. But then later they'll find all those people that were in that mob and get them. I mean, that's what they did at J6.
I think that they're fielding a lot of these. Like, I think that the left is way more psychotic and unhinged than even what we're seeing. Right? Like, we know this because we've been kind of living with it for a really long time. But like, the rest of the people haven't, and I don't think that you can even have that many resources to go after all these people. I guess you could, but I don't know. Like, they just they show up randomly all the time, and like they didn't get in any trouble. It's really it's like the local law enforcement too is a bigger part of the problem. I wouldn't say just Trump. I would say like local law enforcement, these Democratic cities. Like, yeah, if you're in Philly, they're gonna tell them to stand down, or Seattle. I think it's more local law enforcement that isn't gonna do anything. But you are right in that they never get punished, and so.
And I think it shows that, like, any cultural cachet that the right had around the 2024 campaign was just temporary, where the right has no real, like, cultural power at a macro level as far as, like, pop culture goes. Because, when Megan Thee Stallion was going and performing at a Kamala rally, do you think it ever occurred to her once, oh, what if the right gets really upset at this? And, like, no, it never did, because
we don't act like that.
Well, because we don't act like that, but also because there's no, like, conservative artists for the most part.
I mean, anybody that thinks of themselves, in my opinion, as a leftist or a rightist is kind of queer. Like, dude, that's not cool. You're not cool to be like. You're not cool.
It's kind of what?
Queer.
You're not cool to put yourself in a box. That's not cool. Cool. What does that word mean? I don't give a fuck.
I'm a far right authoritarian person.
Well, I think it's more that
I'm in a box.
I think it's more that you don't need permission to be a liberal, but you need permission to live or endorse conservative candidates. Insofar as in 2024. The dam kind of broke to the point where people felt comfortable supporting President Trump. People that maybe were secretly concerned. You're seeing this play out right now in Los Angeles, where like you're seeing people like there's rumors that DiCaprio is actually liking Pratt, but since no one in the press is giving a permission piece to allow you to support Senator Pratt, they just can't do it. Where in 2024 that dam did break.
This is why I am not optimistic about long-term prospects in this country. Because Antifa operates with impunity, and people fear Antifa. If there was an Antifa, listen, you're walking down the street. And there's Alex Brusowitz on your right, and there's Antifa on your left. And Brusowitz says, "Ian, do me a favor. Don't walk this way because we're setting something up, and we're going to be painting right here." And then Antifa says, "If you walk anywhere near me, I'll bash your face in." Right. You're going to be like, "Sorry, Alex, I don't want to get my face bashed in."
It's reasonable to be concerned or fear street thugs at all levels. I think it's reasonable. But that's why we are.
And in fact, what's happening is Donald Trump's on one side of the street, Antifa's on the other, and we're going, "Mr. President, can you stop this person from threatening me?" And he goes, I'm real busy in Iran.
There's a point I wanted to make earlier. It feels like Trump took his base and threw him under the bus. Maybe during the Epstein thing when he was like, "You're all wrong. It was a big lie anyway. Look the other direction." And he's like, he used people to get into office and then he discarded them. And I don't feel, it seems like he just doesn't, I mean, he did pardon, Ross Ulbricht, but I don't know, he got what he needed out of people. He used them as jet fuel and now he's out.
I don't feel that way. And I really don't feel I don't think that it's the federal government's responsibility to police these people in these cities. These cities are run by Democrat activists themselves, and so they're not going to sick their police force on them. I don't think it comes top down from Trump.
Right?
And I mean, I don't know, maybe this makes me a bit of a contrarian here, but I'm not even entirely buying that these people are ultimately afraid of potential leftist violence. I just think the vibe has shifted in this country where, again, it is not in vogue to support Trump right now, and these people ultimately they are at the behest of perception. They're audience controlled, they're audience captured, they're listening to their friends, to their management companies.
No, I think
I disagree.
Martina,
it's about threats.
Hang on, let me finish finish it real quick, is Martina McBride literally performed the theme song for Sean Hannity's show. Like, she's someone that has been comfortable supporting conservative.
Yeah, and she still is.
Which is why it's not a vibe change.
Right.
No, it's absolutely.
It's the death threats.
No, it's the death
Trump's
threats.
approval rating's never been lower. Again, the TDS is back in a large way. It wasn't this way a year ago. The TDS was not at the level it is right now.
Yes, but what your point only can exist with death threats.
No, I think my point exists because I think Martina McBride, where she would have something to gain from it a year ago, she has nothing to gain from it now. She's like, "What? I'm just going to wade into a controversy out of nowhere."
There is zero reality where artists who were booked and paid went, a lot of people don't like Trump, I shouldn't perform.
Yeah, I don't.
The reality is
I think
they got messages saying bad things will happen to you, and they were like, I don't want to be involved in whatever
I think
this is.
I think that's part of it, but I think the majority is they just don't think there's anything to gain from participating in something
I think that
controversial. That's why they're not endorsing Spencer Pratt. That's why Trump is like losing out.
It's because the left has been going around with impunity for a decade, beating people with crowbars.
And now they're getting shot at the White House Correspondents' Center. There's another shooting the other day. There's this shooting, that shooting, and they're like, I'm getting death threats, and these threats are legitimate because of what
in the chat right now. Someone just posted the guy who had a house with the Trump decorations was beaten to death.
Yeah,
I know. I'm not denying that that's a thing.
That's the vibe change you're talking about. You will die if you support Trump.
I think these people. I think a lot of people can justify it by saying they're worried about leftist violence, but I think a lot of them are just not comfortable supporting Trump right now.
I don't think that's
Trump's been in a state of
Why are they
confusion.
not comfortable supporting Trump?
Because it's not in vogue. It's controversial. It's going to make you look bad. It's embarrassing for a lot of these people. And
I don't think when you are a performer and you're weighing whether or not you want to perform, you're going, well, we are getting death threats, but who cares about that? I'm more concerned about looking bad.
I'm saying that's a component of it, but
that's the component that is the prerequisite.
But I'm saying even if there was like zero death threats whatsoever, I think a lot of these people would still be pulling out because they think it's like, what is there to gain?
Maybe two reasons. One is like, it's weird for like a political movement to have a bunch of musicians come because you're basically saying I'm part of the party now, and like you're a musician, you're an artist.
These people were booked, confirmed, they're getting paid. What changed in the last month?
The Democrat media machine has made America 250 into the right-wing chud parade.
No. They all canceled the moment the announcement went out. So the vibe change happened in that one day.
No, the vibe.
The death threats came in that one day.
The vibe changed around the beginning of the year, where again it became in vogue again. TDS became.
So why didn't they cancel sporadically throughout the past 6 months? Why did they all cancel just when they were announced?
Because America 250, the whole organization, was a bipartisan sort of thing. It was seen as neutral, and then as soon as these people started clocking that it's the perception in the media and the perception among the American public is that America 250.
Okay, but I asked you a question.
Yeah, that's
why did they all cancel the same day?
Because that's when the media machine has been fired up and they are all announced and they got heat for it and they said, no, I don't want to participate.
So if it really was a vibe change, wouldn't it have happened sporadically and unrelated to each other?
Well, people weren't talking about America 250 in like February, but that's when this sort of shift started to happen.
When the shift was happening and the approval rating's been going down for several months, these people would have dropped off one by one and never have been announced in the first place.
Because I think the perception of America 250, there was zero discussion around it, there was zero discourse around it, and then now that it's being talked about right now, and now the general perception among the public, the general perception among the media is that America 250 is like basically a Republican rally. They don't want to participate in it.
So that vibe change just happened in one day?
No, what I'm saying is that no one was talking.
They all canceled yesterday. All of these cancellations were yesterday.
Do they have
the same time?
When it was announced.
Are they using management? Is there a management company that booked these guys? So maybe the management company sent it to all the artists. Like,
no, all of the artists said when we were pitched this, we thought this is cool. The day they announced the artists, they all said, you know what? We've decided this is too divisive. Yeah. So what happened is the flyer gets released. They get waves of death threats and say, this is crazy. I don't want to do this.
I mean, I'm not downplaying that the death threats are playing a role in this, but I'm saying primarily right now, if you are a musical artist, you just have zero to gain from participating in this. That is just true. And these people are cowards, ultimately. These people they're not trying to be political people. They're not trying to do you think the Commodores care about doing the right thing here? No, they're reacting to incentive structures, and right now it is it is a massive disadvantage to be a Trump supporter right now. There's zero question about it. Half the right and the media hates you.
That's because Trump's been I think
that's kind of been the case for 10 years.
Yeah,
that's my point. Is there's always been an attack vector on Trump, so a lot of these right wingers are not participating.
Is the argument that there was a shallow blip 5 months ago where all these people thought it was beneficial to support Trump?
Yes.
And it was like, for 10 years, you can't support Trump. Trump is evil. And there was this brief window of a few weeks where they booked all these people where it was like, actually, Trump's okay now. And then Trump became evil again.
No, what I'm saying is going to the 2024 campaign and into the first year of his campaign, Trump did have a better perception among the American public because they were exhausted after the Biden administration. They hated Biden, and Trump, it was cool to support him for a while. Like, again, Rogan, that entire...
It was getting cooler. NFL players were doing his dance in the end zone.
Exactly.
I agree with some of that.
So the culture, there was a shift. There was a vibe shift. And what I'm saying is when America 250 was initially being booked, it was not perceived as a partisan event. When it was being booked out, the pitch was to all these people, and the America 250 organization is still a nonpartisan entity. They were all saying, oh, well, this is like a wholesome Chungus July 4th event. And then now, as the media machine is fired up, they're saying, well, this is basically a Republican right-wing parade. If you're participating in that and you're the Commodores, you're like, well, I don't want to, what is there to gain?
I will say that I can see what you're saying, but I think that's the secondary motivation, and the primary motivation being because what's more serious, your life or your reputation, right, at that point. So I think the primary motivation is the death threats and the legitimacy of the death threats, because we've been seeing legitimate action taken, right, with the things that I mentioned before. And then the secondary event is like, okay, yeah, well, it's not real popular right now.
It is the death threats, 100%, and the proof is in the Milli Vanilli. Milli Vanilli doesn't have a vibe check to ride on. These are all 1989, 1990 old school washed up people with nothing to show for it. With all due respect to Vanilla Ice, when was his last single?
No, these people are all washed. Like, this is a pathetic.
So there is absolutely something to gain for deciding to look. If you have zero and your career is over, and Trump comes up and says, well, I can do one thing for you. I can give you access to my base. We've got 60 million people that will love you and buy your albums. You've got no album sales now. How would you feel to perform for 60? And they said, okay. The point is, if this was Sabrina Carpenter, Beyonce, and they were canceling, I'd agree with you. These are people who are like, this is bad for our sales. These people don't have sales.
No, I think it's the other way around. I think the fact that these are the only people that would agree to it in the first place indicates how dire things had gotten.
Agreed. So why are they now canceling? It's not vibes, it's death.
No, it's because it's like, it is just a toxic environment to participate in if you're a musician. It's actually the other way around, where people that are washed up like this, they're extremely sensitive.
Ian, would you perform?
You know, I thought about it. I don't know. I don't want to perform for Trump. I would perform for the American people, but
it's a nonpartisan Freedom Fest 4th of July celebration. Would you play there if they asked you?
Fuck yeah, dude.
I would. Yeah, that was
the point is
pitch.
this.
That was the initial pitch.
All of the people who are booked are washed up, lesser known. They don't have to worry about it. They don't have sales. They don't do concerts. They're not doing stadiums and arenas. If it was a band that sold arenas and they said, the vibe right now is Trump is unpopular and we don't want to risk our business by aligning ourselves with one side, we cut our business in half. These are people who don't have a business.
That's why it's even more dire for them, because again, Vanilla Ice has no, like, the average American doesn't really have a perception.
No. I gotta say, because you're not addressing what I'm saying.
I think you guys
I am.
If you are Vanilla Ice and you have zero sales,
I know.
Your opportunity is to at least gain half of the market. Why would you turn that down?
No, it's the other way around. It's the fact that there is zero perception of who Vanilla Ice is in 2026. No one cares about him. So again, this is when...
Well, he's still playing, by the way. He's a bad
I know. I'm just saying, for these people, this will now be the perception of them in the American zeitgeist is, oh, well, that's the guy that I hadn't heard from for 40 years, and all of a sudden he reemerges and he's participating in the Trump rally.
The new Kid Rock.
But hold on.
There's the new Kid Rock.
Milli Vanilli is never coming back.
It's just Millie.
There's never going to be a circumstance where he's brought into Hollywood and they say, Millie, you're the best. We're selling your album now platinum. We're going to put you in a movie. It's not going to happen. So if you are a washed up has-been, if you are someone who had a single 40 years ago and they're like, this is your chance to actually perform for a large audience again, what would make you say no to that? Again, like your point about a vibe shift would imply they exist in the cultural zeitgeist, but they don't.
Well, I think the vibe shift happened over the last 4 months, 2 months, and even 3, 4, whenever you said the media starts.
I think it happened on the ICE protests.
And then it erupted in assassination attempts, shootings, and now threats because of the vibe check. So you're right that a vibe check did happen, and you're right that the threats are the reason these people are canceling.
Wait, I got to give a shout out to someone in chat.
Oh, there is
Vash says Milli Vanilli will blame it on the rain. Can you imagine if they don't cancel, but then the 4th of July it rains, and they were like, due to rain, we won't be performing?
Dude, here's a question.
We live in a simulation if that happens.
I have a broader question. Because the threats have escalated, do you think that anybody will show up? Now, you know that the base would show up to this, right? You know, like
yes.
the base MAGA crowd would normally show up, but with all the death threats. Like the people that I know that are older than they were certainly 6 years ago, 8 years ago. I don't think that they're willing to go and show up even at these events, because look at what happened at the White House Correspondents' Dinner.
Real quick,
they
they actually
MMA fight either because drone bombs. Who knows? I don't
they
want to
actually,
get involved with that
guys,
crap right now.
they actually have a weather forecast for July already.
And
I feel
We
like
can change the weather.
well, it's not going to rain on the 4th of July. I'm just saying it's pretty weird that I can look up July 31st weather. Like,
Farmer's
bro,
Almanac's been doing that for decades.
but really, Tim, do you think that they're going to have a good turnout for this anyway because of the political violence that we've been seeing?
they're not going to have a
don't.
good turnout for it because it's been mismanaged, and we're not going to be there.
Yeah, I don't want to.
Yeah, I think
The moment that Timcast crew said we won't be at this festival, I knew no one would go because we're the top draw.
well, that's true.
Did we
That's
say
very
we
true.
wouldn't go? Did I miss
We're not going because nothing's happening. And a month ago, we were trying to figure out what our plans for the 4th of July are, and we were talking about going to the World Series of Poker. There's a lot going on out there, and there's a lot of high-profile individuals we could have on the show, as well as sports coverage for my participation. And I said, yeah, but I would rather be at the 4th of July in D.C. than go and play the World Series of Poker. I mean, so then we checked the calendar and all the scheduling, and they're not doing anything.
Yeah.
So this event, they're talking about the music, isn't for the 4th of July. It's June 25th to July 10th. So what's happening on the 4th of July? Nothing. There's going to be fireworks, and there's going to be like people in DC. But when we reached out saying, are there going to be shows? Is there going to be some kind of big event? There is not. And I said, okay, well then.
Do you think that's due to violence? Like,
No, I think it's mismanagement. I think first of all, the fact. I mean, listen, why isn't Kid Rock on here? Did he say no?
Good point. Where is he?
Young.
Because again, this was a bipartisan, non-political entity that put this thing together. They're not going to put like
CNC
Tom
Music
McDonald.
Factory, bro.
Oh, these are the only people they could find.
were just listening to that
Kid
on
Rock
the
they could get.
And this is derivative from my larger point that I've had around America250 is I think a lot of people on the right assume, or they'd like to think that the reason why no one in America cares about America250 right now is because of the left or because of political violence. The reality is our country has just changed dramatically, and people just don't have interest in like patriotic events anymore. That's the reality of the situation. Like July 4th, no one is celebrating the independence of the United States. They're just like, oh, it's fun. I can drink.
Well, Chicago canceled it.
And then
Chicago doesn't do the 4th of July anymore.
But like,
When did they cancel?
But like,
A few years ago. And I'll tell you this, like Donald Trump, if he does not succeed, America is gone.
I agree.
And I want to explain, because a nation is its people, and its people are diminished. So I'll give you an example. I went to the Christmas festival in Chicago. We go every year. And I remember, when I was a kid and you go there, basically they have a bunch of little German kind of like Bavarian shops and stuff like this. And you can get Der Waffles, and every year they have custom mugs. And so my wife really loves it. She goes every year. The past few years we've gone, it's been largely Indians. I'm not saying Indian in a disparaging way or to single out like H1Bs. No, like literally, you can no longer walk in the Christmas fest. It's shoulder to shoulder with nobody moving, jammed, trying to squeeze through. And it's largely Indians and a lot of Chinese.
Yeah.
And I was wondering myself, I'm like, man, like when I was a kid, it wasn't like all white or anything, but it wasn't super crowded. And you'd go there and it was Christmas, and there's a Christmas tree, and it was Christian. Now it's not Christian anymore. Now it's just novelty. 4th of July in Chicago. We used to have the Taste of Chicago. Every 4th of July weekend, they would set up booths all across like Grant Park, Millennium Park, and you'd buy tickets. With tickets, you could get various food items. They're kind of small because it was the Taste of Chicago. So they had all these different kinds of foods you can eat. Then they'd have fireworks over the lake, and it was grand, and everybody wanted to be there. They no longer have the Taste of Chicago, and they no longer do the 4th of July fireworks anymore.
That's weird.
And you know why? It's actually pretty obvious. Because the city is no longer American. It's really, really simple. The city votes for a mayor. The mayor says, I was elected by a bunch of communists, and communists don't like America, and there's not enough American, red-blooded, freedom-loving people. It's really, really simple. Right now, everyone in this room, we all vote, should we, have cheeseburgers for lunch? And we all like cheeseburgers, so we all say yes. Then begins the tradition of Timcast Friday Cheeseburger Day. And we all love it. Every Friday, we all get cheeseburgers, and we celebrate.
Enter
Then,
the Hindus.
One day, Timcast hires a bunch of H1Bs. And then we're sitting in this room and we say, well, it's Friday. Sounds like it's hamburger day. Now, there's currently 5 of us here. But then we hired 6 H1Bs from India. And they go, actually, we do not want to eat beef. We would like to have Impossible Burger. And then they all vote, and then we go, Impossible Burger wins. I guess we're not going to do our tradition anymore. And then we're all bummed out being like, man, remember how great it was? We had the great tradition of cheeseburgers.
Yeah.
That's what's happening across all of our cities. That's why Chicago doesn't have a 4th of July anymore. That's why no one cares about going to the 4th of July. And that's why even this nonpartisan whatever organization didn't organize a 4th of July event.
I don't think
they organized a 2-week-long festival where on the 4th of July, there are no special events planned.
Yeah, like this is a problem broadly with American culture, is that it's just dissolved. I mean, the bicentennial, I wasn't alive, obviously, but everyone that was said the bicentennial was incredible. Like, it was a big thing. Everyone was very aware of it. You had documentaries, wall-to-wall coverage, covering all these great American moments, et cetera, et cetera. Well, did the left just discard American patriotism? No, the country by and large dissolved, and the Republican Party was a junior partner in this entire operation. And the evidence for this is it's not just America250 that people don't care about. The World Cup's this summer in the United States, and you could say, well, that's communism, soccer, who cares? The World Cup was here in 1992. Everyone was obsessed with it. It was a very big event. It was a really big deal, and Americans did not care about soccer at all in the 90s. At least now, I don't know, maybe a quarter of the country cares. So the fact that the World Cup's coming, no one cares. America250's coming, no one cares. Everyone will say the same thing. Christmas doesn't feel like Christmas anymore. Well, Thanksgiving doesn't feel like Thanksgiving anymore. Why does the Super Bowl feel so weird now? Everything, we're unable to mobilize as a culture in the United States anymore because, to Tim's point, everyone is deracinated. Everyone is nihilistic. Just no one can work up the courage to care about anything anymore, because right now, the only thing in the United States that is uncool, the number one thing that is uncool to do in the United States right now, is to care about something. Being a serious person that cares about things it makes you it makes you a pariah. It is deeply uncool to be serious and to care about things. That is just absolutely true. That's why we are unable to mobilize.
You care?
I care,
it's
but
just if you care about the wrong things, like the left-right shit is that's not good to care about. That's it shows that you're at a lower level of what's happening on Earth. If you're they're bad, and it's bro,
anybody under 100 IQ, I'm not.
There's a
we should ban
geopolitical
soccer.
economic.
Yes.
There's a geopolitical economic coup in
Mandatory baseball.
in flow right now
Football's
globally.
okay, too.
And if you're not focused on the geopolitical economic coup that's coming out of Switzerland, then that's the problem. You should be caring about technocracy.
No,
that's cool to care about.
I think it's the other way around. Is that the only thing that people do care about is things that are completely out of their control, and then the things that people are ambivalent on are things that are fully within their control. Actually, on the right, the primary problem is everyone is committed to taking down a pedophile Davos-controlled cabal, and they're totally missing the forest for the trees, where it's there's actually things that are well within our range that we can control, and people are completely ambivalent towards these things. They don't care at all, and the only things they really do care about are things in the total abstract.
Oh, I got an idea. Uniforms. We should have uniforms at Timcast, and they're American flag shirts.
Dude, I kind of.
And every morning, the first job everyone has to do is play a game of football.
We should do the Pledge of
I would play
Allegiance.
some.
Every morning.
We should do the Pledge of Allegiance every morning.
Huddle up and pray.
We should do the Pledge of Allegiance all the time. And I do like outfits just on American flags. They can have a little American flag on them, but they've got to be classy.
Yeah, because it's a violation of flag code to
Yeah.
wear the flag.
Really?
Yeah, I mean, the last Olympics, no one cared. Everything that used to be important that people cared about.
I watched
American
figure
culture is
skating.
just unable to mobilize. People watched it, but it
internet.
wasn't like the '08 Olympics where everyone was talking about.
Wait, I got a better idea. Instead of a pledge allegiance to the flag, I've never been a big fan of pledging allegiance to the flag. The whole thing was weird to me. If they said we stayed up, if when we were kids we stood up and we said, so actually. We actually did sing "My Country 'Tis of Thee."
Yeah.
That was fine. And what's that other one where it's "Oh beautiful for
Oh, beautiful.
Gracious skies, something like that. Yeah.
yeah for amber."
Waves of
Yeah, those were fun singing.
the Beautiful.
But looking at the flag and being that flag is what I'm. No. We're
Yeah,
two
but when
people.
they say the
But-
flag, it's like a.
I get it, but how about this?
Well, it's supposed to be the
Instead of
Constitution,
pledging
but they want you to
allegiance,
worship the
we
government.
pledge disdain to the Pride and Progress flag.
I will say I don't like the Constitution either. So
What?
There's no such thing as a constitution.
I pledge allegiance to the Bill of Rights, but not to the flag
No, you don't.
itself. Because if the government goes evil, I'm not going to.
No, you don't.
America's
Let's do it.
America's
Let's go. Here we
great
go.
because of its people. Not
There's no
because of its
constitution, and it's funny how conservatives get really mad when I bring this up. But
free speech. You
don't believe in free speech.
I do believe in free speech.
No, you don't.
Or I wouldn't be doing this.
Do you believe the founding fathers were correct on the First Amendment?
Yeah.
you would be in prison with everything you've said about Jews and Christianity if you agree with the founding fathers.
Oh, but I wouldn't have said this.
I
stuff
agree
back
with the
then.
founding
I would have
fathers.
amalgamated to
because
what
blasphemy
they were
was
like.
illegal.
No,
Yes.
the primary reason why America became so successful is because the initial stock of people was like 120 IQ.
That's because everybody comes. Right.
And the evidence for this is the fact that like New Zealand, Australia, Canada, vastly different government systems than ours, but they're also like immensely successful, nice places up.
Well, how do you
recently,
explain
because the
this-
people changed?
How do you explain that the Australians were just a bunch of criminals? You know,
They were literally like the worst stock of Anglos, and they still produced a really fantastic country. And that's just like 100%
Fair.
true, by the way.
Fair. I just think that like we really bastardized whatever the Constitution was supposed to be with the 17th Amendment, with anybody other than people. I think you should have an IQ test to vote, and it's got to be above 115.
well, the problem with IQ test is that there's a bunch of different. Let me put it this way. Mensa is supposed to be high IQ people, right? Mm-hmm. But if you're good at solving a puzzle, does it mean you can really comprehend foreign policy and domestic policy? It doesn't. You might be really good at solving a math problem very quickly, and that might make
That's true. I mean, that's true. However, they did like instead of SAT scores and stuff, they did like admit people and take job applications for people with higher IQs. And it was actually very productive, very successful. It was a true representation of how they did.
I'll put it this way. An intelligence test, but not an
That's
IQ
legal.
test. IQ tests are subjective, and they're based on an average. So 100 is just the average of all of the people who've taken the test or something like that, So that's why IQ changes. The funny thing is, I was reading how they had to change the baseline for retardation because they were like, what was it, like anything below 80 is retarded, and they were like, that's actually large swaths of the global population. Like,
Yes.
they're not all retards. so
Not
you
even
can't-
global populations, city populations.
That's like the entirety, and I'm not even trying to be mean. That's like literally the entirety of Haiti.
Oh wait, so you're saying if most
Oh,
of
yeah,
society
absolutely.
gets smarter, but you stay the same, your IQ goes down because now it's
so-
below.
so
Global
the-
IQs have actually gone
So
up.
age is a factor. So if you are like a 7-year-old who has the average, whose IQ is comparable to the 15-year-old, they're like, oh, your IQ is 140.
Oh,
But if you then do not develop from there, your IQ just goes down as you get older. The other thing is 100 is an average, meaning it's based on everybody who's taking the test. What is the average intelligence? Will be 100. So arguably,
Also, when you're taking them when you're young, too, kids don't like totally take it seriously or try hard or pay attention or they're distracted for
problem-
whatever reason. People's IQ, if you take an IQ test at 17, you can take the IQ test now at 44, and it would be two drastically different numbers depending
But
on how much
here's
effort
the
you put
thing.
into the test. I mean,
one of the components of IQ is like spatial reasoning, and that's where they'll show you. It'll look like a cross, and they'll say, "Take this image and fold it into a cube," and then which. Like then they ask you which side. There's a few things.
sequencing, like they'll show you different pictures, and you're supposed to know.
Yeah, and it'll be like it'll be a
cube.
cube with a dot in it, and then it'll be a cube with 2 dots, and then a cube with 3 dots, and you're like 4 dots. But then they'll rotate and they'll flip. The ability to do that does not matter if the question is something like, should women vote?
The answer is no, they shouldn't.
But my point ultimately is that is a very, very deep philosophical and moral conundrum. And your ability to track patterns has very little to do with whether or not you have the knowledge and wisdom to understand the behaviors of women. The point ultimately is this. Certainly,
For women, which is wild. and crazy.
your ability to solve puzzles and do math is good. There's other elements of IQ. It's a quotient. There's reading comprehension and things of that nature. But if we were to ask someone to solve a series of visual puzzles and they score really high, then you ask them about, abortion, and they have no idea, and they have all propaganda and bad, like their understanding of abortion is completely wrong. They're going to vote improperly. So IQ doesn't solve for this problem.
I think the hope is that
To
a
be-
high
to be-
IQ
to-
will let you learn more data rapidly that you don't necessarily agree with.
There just has to be a different system. Letting everybody vote is
Literacy
ridiculous.
is better.
Literacy, they're like I told you before, 52% of Philadelphia is functionally illiterate.
Yes,
That's
we
like
solve. Listen. You want to solve the problem? Not an IQ test. You can only all votes are write-in from now on.
What if it's a
That
deep-
solves all of the problems.
What if
with
it's a
no
deep
spelling
fake?
errors.
No spelling errors.
Deep fake test.
If you're trying to vote for Obama and you put Obama, then I'm sorry, that's one vote for
To be
Obama.
fair, though, you've got all those lefty women that are like all in college and all brainwashed, and they will definitely spell things correctly and be like
That's
hyper aware.
and that's allowed. But guess what? If
No, women should just not be
no. The reason why Democrats would lose is because if you had to name your candidate, Democrats cannot. Republicans, in general, both Democrat, Republican, or otherwise, vote based on party. But I guarantee you there are more Republican voters who can name the candidate they want and why they want them than Democrats who can name the candidate they want.
I think that's true for
Everything.
vice president and down.
Yeah, they've done studies on this where, like, on the whole, there's a negligible IQ difference between Republicans and Democrats, but you can go through like crosstabs and that sort of thing, and that's where you do see some differences where Republicans typically have about a 2-point advantage as far as verbal IQ goes. And that's reflected in how effective Republicans are at like talk radio, podcasting, et cetera, et cetera. That is just something they're more receptive to. But like both parties, especially the Democrats, have a much larger coalition of like IQ variation. I would say the Democrats is actually more extreme, where they probably have the highest IQ and the lowest IQ people in the same.
Oh, I got a
Yeah.
test.
Well, it's women.
Mental illness.
Yeah.
Mental illness. You've ever taken SSRIs? Your
If you've-
anxiety,
Here's
depression,
the problem.
you're out.
Here's the problem.
That's weed too.
They will if they will take you by force and they will tell you you're 5150 and you can never vote again.
I don't care.
No,
Right.
that's not good.
So which political faction is more willing to falsely accuse the other of mental illness to stop them from voting?
They are to us, but still.
Indeed.
I think we need to do deep fake tests where you watch 3 videos and you're like, which one is the deep fake? Or
No.
you have to watch 5. And if you can identify the deep fake,
Having
you can
to
vote.
name the candidate you want to vote for
You know what would
and the
solve all
best
You have
this?
to write it in.
Having a king. This would solve all these problems.
Oh, and
If they
Get a
if
crazy
they just,
king.
if
It
they-
wouldn't, because what would happen is the king would have a son who's retarded and
no,
Muslim.
you wouldn't have to. You would have it like kind of like the Romans did. You don't have it necessarily.
He's a king,
by,
and then when he dies, you reelect a new one.
yes, yeah,
like a what do they call those things?
An elected monarchy.
yes, elected, yeah.
Well, you could have what they
Monarchy
call
means
a,
single authority. An elected monarch means they serve till they die.
There's
and
one thing where you can do where you have an emperor that appoints the king.
I like that too, because what's his face wasn't going to appoint their own kids, and you should just say you can't have your kids.
You could have an elected monarchy, but they get bought out
I
by
think the
oligarchs.
idea is if you
We're fighting each other instead of.
after you hold
People
office, you get
fighting
exiled to the island.
I like
Which
that.
island?
I want no lobbying. I
Siberia.
want so much like.
Say what?
If somebody has all
It's
authority,
an island?
No.
how are you going to lobby? They hold all the power already.
The United States does, and I guess we have Guantanamo, but we need like a separate penal colony because like the British had St. Helena and they exiled Napoleon there after they defeated him. Like that'd have been awesome to stick Maduro on an island with like
Cuba.
Yeah.
Let's take Cuba and turn it into a penal colony.
That penal
That
colony.
would
I
be
think that'd be
great.
nice. And then
That'd be great.
and then you can do this if you just have 5 misdemeanors, because it's like, okay, the average person might pick up a misdemeanor at some point, but if you have 5, that indicates you have extremely antisocial behavior. But we can't necessarily justify throwing you in federal prison, so we should just exile you.
No, here's what we do. So
And countries, we can utilize them.
So there's petty infractions, misdemeanors, felonies. So the way we do it is if you get 3 felonies, you're exiled.
Can we cut your hand? No. Sorry.
Cut your hand pay casino.
Handmaiden's Tale.
So here's how it works.
Cut the handmaiden's.
If you get 3 petty offenses, those count as 1 misdemeanor. So a petty offense is like not returning a library book or jaywalking. If you do 3 of those, you get it counts towards 1 misdemeanor.
That's fair.
If you get 1 misdemeanor, it's a misdemeanor. You get 1 felony, it's a felony. So if you get 3 misdemeanors, those count as a felony. So that means 9 misdemeanors, and you're exiled. And that would mean that what is the math on this one? So 3 times 9,
27.
27 petty offenses, and you're exiled permanently.
That
So
sounds
we need like the Palantir punch card. You jaywalk 5 times, you just get exiled to Cuba.
right. That's
Palantir
Chinese, dude. That's
punch
that
card.
We're
social
gonna need
credit.
we got to manage.
You have
that.
to, it's like your ID has like a bunch of holes in the bottom, and the cop just punches a hole and says,
Oh, one more, I'm done. I don't.
"Don't worry, when you get
Spanish is
exiled,
so
you get a
rough."
free yogurt on the way out."
I'm not chaotic, but I'm on the side of chaos when it comes to like obsessive order.
Read the chat.
You're trying to read it, but just do the volume down.
If you check out 27 books from the library and don't return them, you get life in prison.
Or
Dude,
life.
I'd be in
That's
prison.
fair. That's
27.
evil. That is evil. Not returning a library. I'm sorry. I mean,
I
you
do,
it
but
once,
it
that's a bit
takes
like
me
hey,
a
but if you
long time.
consistently do that, I'm
Have you
sorry.
guys been to a library recently?
Oh, it's horrible. It's just
It's
like,
Blockbuster.
That's
Like they have
Blockbuster.
movies.
Not ours.
It's the
The
library.
library here in Winchester, you walk in, they have a movie section. It's amazing.
Every library I've gone to in the last 5 years, besides like, your big main one in your city, is just for homeless people to jerk off at the computers. That is the primary function of a library.
Brutal.
I go to a very small neighborhood one where it's there that there's no riffraff like that there. Although they do like, the queer pride stuff, and my brother always like attacks whoever is.
We should get rid of libraries.
I used to go check out the
Library?
Dewey
What are
Decimal
libraries
System,
for? You commie.
I'm not a commie. I just like
Libraries are communism.
Yeah, it's fair. I buy all my stuff now anyway because I do have a problem returning books. Like I
The
don't wanna
internet
leave my
has
house.
information for free. I'm only half kidding about libraries, but as an honest question, what purpose does a library serve today? When I was a kid,
True.
libraries served a purpose in that if there was a book you needed that someone recommended, you want to check it out. You don't want to. It's basically Blockbuster for books.
We use it for school. Like my kids are.
Well,
assigned
yeah.
to-
Well, we don't need it anymore. So now it's to Tate's point. Libraries today are like. Look, I go to the library and I mentioned it's like Blockbuster, but it was just homeless people.
Yeah.
Not everybody, but like the idea is we've created a space where we are sinking money to the benefit of people, like not to the good standing citizenry of our towns. It is to the derelict. And look, there's big signs everywhere saying don't feed the animals, they become dependent. It's one thing when we were like, hey guys, we should put a library. Imagine you live in a town of 50 people and you all go, we should build a library together, and you all hug, and then you build a library and everyone's friends. Now we build libraries and derelict people show up and start using our spaces in ways we didn't want them
It's
to.
very true. I mean, I remember my local library when I lived in Queens. It was literally the entirety of the people using it was the homeless and Hasidic Jews. Those were the only two people that used this place. It was like the most bizarre thing going in there, watching the Hasidics like go at it with the homeless, like fighting over the
So funny
computers.
because like I'm deep in Philly and we don't like the little one I go to like Donatucci, right? Like whatever.
There's still some good
little
ones,
and
but they're in the
it's like,
suburbs primarily.
We just don't have that.
Where I live now, I live out in the burbs, and there's a library, and it's actually quite useful, and there's a lot of young children there. It's like clearly providing value to these people.
I stopped.
We
But
go
the
to
city libraries these days are literally just a cesspool.
1995, I stopped going to libraries. When the internet appeared, I was like, they're redundant now.
Kind of. I mean, like, so my daughter
More of
goes
a
to a
vibe.
classical school, Christian classical school, both my kids, and they'll get assigned a book, and I don't want to pay $5 every time I need a book, right? And so we'll go and get that specific book out. You can't get it online. You can't get it in an audio book. I mean, they're classics for the most part, some of them, like but young kid classics. And then I have to like go get the book out of the library.
That's true. I went to library in college. I would go sit at the library and,
Right.
and just do stuff.
I want to ruminate on this because
it was quiet.
I'm telling you, the most entertaining thing on planet Earth was watching Hasidics and homeless people fight.
I know. I'm still thinking about it. You mentioned it. Like, I want to see
So
it.
funny. I mean, the funniest
this
thing
for us.
you've ever seen.
The frustration was palpable.
Yeah, they're both just agitated. One guy's on drugs.
Are they
One guy doesn't speak
confused?
English, and it is just confusion, anger. It's kind of
Frustration.
it's kind of like an academic Waffle House.
And then the librarians there, like, hey, shh,
The librarians
trying to quiet
stay out
up.
of it.
They don't tell them to quiet.
We need
down.
to nationalize Waffle House, replace libraries with Waffle House.
We used to go play
The
Magic.
the only place I've ever witnessed a shooting in my entire life was at a Waffle House. It was at a parking lot, and the shooting.
It's the Spirit Airlines of
The
food.
shooting happens. The guy's like choking on his own blood. The employees go back and get back to work. Like they didn't close. They're like, mop it up. We got
Man.
waffles to make.
And you're like, there's a man dying, and they're like, eh. And you're like, aren't you concerned? We're like, well, it happens all the time.
Well, yeah, because I stayed inside. I was in like West Memphis, Arkansas, like a scary place to begin with. And so I just stayed inside, and we just continued dining. And the ambulance came in, and they slapped the guy and took him out of there. And I was like, wow, this place. That's the only time I've ever witnessed like that level of violence.
We should,
understand homeless people going to the library because we used to play Magic at the library because we didn't have anywhere to play it, and then they would be like, "You guys can't play this here."
Because there's public indecency laws, so they go to the library so they won't get charged.
And then we figured it out though. We were being too loud. We were
I
like,
used
"What
to
if
use the
we're
library
quiet?"
all the
No,
time
it's not
when
gonna-
I was 18.
You do what?
I go to the library to use the internet.
I haven't checked a book out.
This is before cell phones, so like I had a phone, but it was a candy bar Nokia with Snake on it. So if I wanted to use if I was like leaving work and I needed to use a computer, I'd go to the library.
Yeah, massive in college,
print
massive
stuff.
library computers.
Yeah, because now with
printer.
eBay and with PDFs online, like a book is going to be $5 tops.
Or Audible. Like I
Audible.
get your
Nah, books are free now on ChatGPT.
Yeah, like or you can just grab a PDF.
You can literally just go on ChatGPT and say, "Write me chapter 1 of like a book."
So I didn't know that.
So
I
like,
mean,
let's say someone says, "I need you to study physics." So go, okay, you can go to any LLM and be like, write like Claude's much better. Claude will write. Yeah, Claude will write a whole book for you. You can go to Claude and say, "Write me a 13-chapter book on Intro to Physics," and it'll go, "Okay," and it'll do it, and then it'll give you a PDF and done.
Yeah, dude.
Yeah.
I mean, the idea of a building where knowledge is stored is still pretty cool. But
Data
it
centers,
is
bro. Data
redundant.
centers.
Data centers.
Yeah.
So you can turn data centers
Yeah,
into
but then you
libraries.
can like that's probably
are
how
libraries.
we lost a lot of technology
because the power went out.
over the time. Yeah, like you lose it all.
Oh, we're cooked. It's over.
And then it's
I mean, the future of this planet of humanity is we're going to be like, it's Wall-E where everyone's fat. That's wishful thinking. We're going to be morbidly obese, sitting in pods, plugged into the machine, brainless and dumb.
Do you guys
Yeah,
ever?
I feel
We're
about
out.
obese.
Listen. There's an important thing you got to understand with technology. When we invent something to do a task for us, we lose the ability to do that task. So the reason why guys used to have much higher testosterone back in the day is because they were lifting things all the time. You were working on a farm, you were lifting and moving stuff. So guys were much more likely to be thin and fit.
It's the difference.
Now we don't. So what happens is testosterone has gone down, lift capacity has gone down. We've begun to outsource our thinking to artificial intelligence, which means if this trajectory continues, you are going to have gaunt or chubby, thin-boned people who are real dumb, outsourcing, and then eventually they just don't exist. There's no reason for them
I
to
think we're
exist.
more approaching a great filter where it's just people with agency versus people without agency. And I would estimate maybe 10, 20% of the population has agency. So I think the future is actually kind of what we're seeing now on steroids, where you have 80% of the population. They probably won't get fat because of Ozempic, but they're just going to be effectively, they're going to take the
die from
buyout.
it.
They're going to take the buyout from AI.
Well, what if
difference of
that was
kids
the
that
point
play
of
with Legos.
what if that's the point of mass vaccination?
insofar as
People without agency gleefully took multiple doses, and people with agency refused.
No, I didn't take it.
I think your difference, you're looking at kids that play with Legos versus kids that play with Minecraft. Like, you got to have your kids have the hands on. They need the resistance to feel it, pull against gravity when they move things, to build muscle memory. And then the other kids, it's just like the digital observation is like that will drive people.
Well, I think
loose.
we have like a case study over the last 60 years where technology has emerged that, again, people without agency end up utilizing it for entertainment. People with agency utilize it to advance their career in some way. The internet's a great example of this. So I think AI, for 20% of the people, they'll utilize it as a tool to make more money and et cetera, et cetera. 80% will primarily use it for entertainment or buyout.
Everyone's taking the buyout, bro. I'm gonna tell you this. What do you think? I guarantee you, everybody listening right now, I guarantee you this. I will wager money. The moment we get non-surgically invasive Neuralink, meaning you put on a headband and it projects experiences into your mind, Ian's gone. You'll never see him again. He's gone.
He's like, maybe that's true.
Bro, I'm telling you, when
I
they
won't-
when they release neural video games where you plug a headset into your computer and put on the band, and then instantly you feel as if you are physically in Dungeons and Dragons, Ian's gone.
You might.
Ian is
going to
be like a necromancer.
Well, it's funny
would be
because
like-
people are like, what if this becomes compulsory? I'm like, they don't need to, because 80% of the population will just purchase it.
Well, no joke.
They have to make the internet compulsory.
I'm like for about 15 years, I've been on the precipice of like one or the other. Like, I will dive into the neural.
He's
realm
gone. He's gone.
And just
But-
evaporate, or I will stay here and build new things. But I can't
hold on.
decide. I'm like,
hold on. It's not this. The only outcome is not Ian locking himself away in a Matrix pod, shriveling up. It's going to be, there's a dude in California who skateboards, and there's going to be a homie who lives in New York who skateboards, and they're going to be like, hey, do you want to go to, do you want to go to Stoner Skate Park? And they'll be like, sure. And they both put on their headsets, and they get projected into a physical skate park where they're skating with their friends.
because I don't have kids. If I had kids, I would want to stay here and see them learn. But I'm obsessed with learning.
We'll have
so,
kids.
Okay, then I will stay here. But if I don't have kids.
In the machine.
Well, in the machine, whatever, I could pretend, but like, I love learning. I want to learn. So I will go into the machine to learn a million trillion things and just stay there forever. But that's like, you got to apply it too. Like, I want to come back and apply it to this version of reality. Like, if I had kids, I'd be here helping them learn.
You're going to go in the machine where you're going to meet a beautiful dragonborn mistress. You're going to have a child with her, and you're going to be like, I don't like spending time away from my kids.
Full sensory
But
perception.
This future that we're outlining, we're basically saying the fear here is that a large proportion of the population will primarily become consumers, and that they will cease to leave a mark on the world. How is that any different than the current situation we're in now? I would say the vast majority
agreed.
of people. So what I'm saying,
You already have UBI.
exactly. So I'm saying as AI,
Less death threats,
let's
too.
just say top projections of what AI becomes. Like, let's say it truly does become this kind of Wall-E style universe. I don't think the dynamics of the world will change that much.
I don't think so. I think
far
it'll
as the majority of people will still continue to behave as they have now, which is leaving zero mark on the world, primarily consuming and really not shake. Like in the past, the people that you would say were not movers and shakers, they were still building things. They would build a wall, they would build a farm, and that would exist, and they would have children, and that would pass along to them. But what we've seen over the last 60 years is that sort of continuation is completely broken. So AI, all this can do is drive that in steroids.
Let me just say this for, we've talked about it on the show, but with Lisa here, we already have UBI, right? Do you think UBI is bad? Universal Basic Income?
Yeah, I don't like it.
We already have it.
I know, I agree.
Like, imagine going back 200 years, and explaining your job to a guy. He'd be like, so what does your family do to make money? And you're like, I reach out to communicate with people to ask them to come and have conversations. And you'd be like, what?
What?
What do you mean? Well, we have a table where people gather around and talk. And he's like, how do you make money? People pay to watch, I guess. They pay you to watch? Well, actually, it's free to watch, but other companies want to be involved, so they pay us to mention them before we talk. And he's going to be like, well, where does the food come from? Machines make it.
They'd be like, oh, like patronage. Yeah. They did kind of have patronage back then, and they would have performances. So maybe they'll be like, oh, what?
UBI functionally is just all you're doing functionally is extending welfare to all. So we already have functional UBI, but for the people that are not net contributors.
Bro, I'm
so
just
the elderly, and then the people that are just incompetent and can't pay.
If I went back 400 years, like if let's imagine this whole room just teleported 400 years back, we're dead.
I don't know. I don't necessarily know if that's true.
I don't think that would. I think we'd be okay.
No, we're cooked.
Because people would want to be involved.
We've got a bunch of guys whose skills are related to creative works, which don't help anybody survive. And
wait, no,
I mean, we can create
Leonardo da Vinci.
You know that I'm like a huge I do all the millwork in my house. I build. I do all that. I could build.
So when the slavers come in, they'll be like,
definitely taking me.
We got a bunch of dainty Nancy boys and a mill wench.
Seriously, but I garden. I definitely garden. And I know how to do
well, first, I get killed for being mixed race. Ian is too frail, so
I would just
he's chucked into a ditch.
I'd be
Tate is appointed chieftain because he's young and 12 feet tall.
Yeah,
I'd be a concubine, right? Like I'd be like a baby making machine, which I'm fine with.
I know. I'm one of the only winners in this potential.
But
half the country would die. Half the country would die. They live in the Sun Belt.
It depends
without
where
AC. They just die.
We teleported to like the
let's move 20 million people to Florida. That's a good idea.
I would do well in like a royal court, but in like a peasantry thing, I'd just get bored and want to die.
I don't think you would. I think that
Ian would walk up to like the slave driver, and he'd be like, "You got any lentils?"
Do you know what I did?
And they would be like, "Shut up, whack."
I'd be
you know what I did?
I'm kidding. Like 400 years ago was not like that.
For
would
a
be
job
Australian.
in between here and my last job, there was like a couple of months, right? Do you know what I did? I went and worked on a farm. I literally worked on a farm. I got paid $10 an hour. Right. And I worked.
You could be a horse inseminator.
I was literally like shoving and mucking out stalls, feeding the animals, doing all kinds of stuff like that. Like,
did you ever see how they do cows?
Yeah.
Like
the big glove.
They put the big glove.
Yeah, listen, I know how to do it. They do horses the same way. But and I've done all that, like that hard work. By the way, it is way more fulfilling. You do all that.
I agree.
Your body is tired by the end of the day, but you get this like, I don't know.
I got to be real. Like, if we were transported 400 years ago, what would happen is like this room would be a weird demonic temple or whatever. We'd walk out and there'd be like local people being like, "Who are you?" and like, "What work can you do?" I would instantly become like the head chicken farmer. They would bow before me. They would be like, "You're a chicken."
It sounds like Timeline by Michael Crichton, which is a great book.
400 years ago, it'd be all Indians around.
Well, that's what I'm
saying. You'd be able to just like show them a firearm, and they'd be like, "Yeah, so."
400 years ago, it mattered.
You'd be like, "We're taking this country away from the Europeans."
It mattered more where you were. It was a lot more different in different areas 400 years ago. Now things are homogenized, so you can kind of do the same job in everywhere in the world. 400 years ago, it's like, were you in Paris or were you in the farms of Bulgaria?
400 years ago wasn't Indian where we are now.
If reincarnation is a thing, I definitely was alive during the 1820s to the 1860s. 100%.
You were a mill
Guarantee
wench.
it. I definitely would have been.
What if
something weird there? Just saying. I was alive then.
you were alive then, huh?
If you believe, I don't really believe in reincarnation, but if
I don't know how it works, because I think your spirit existed across all time in every body, and now it's hyper centralized in you right now.
I believe in God and purgatory.
Ian's gonna come back after he dies. He's gonna come back as a Jew.
I hope so. I hope I was a Jew in the past.
Join the winning.
I hope I was Jesus, dude. But we were all Jesus.
Bro, they would lock you up in 2 seconds.
We all participated.
1789 for blasphemy.
If I wanted,
you'd be like, I love the Bill of Rights. They'd be like, well, your jail cell's right here.
But if you were in China, you could like start a rebellion. if you claimed you were the.
Yeah, and you could be
Nobody
a
wants
boxer.
I was Liu Bei, dude. I was Choku Liang. I invented the repeating
sat on the
crossbow.
wall playing the lute to
Yeah.
trick the
was
guy.
Liu
You
Bei's
know that story,
advisor.
right, with Chuko Liang?
Mm-hmm.
He opened the gates and played the lute. So when the enemy army came, they thought it was a trap and fled.
That guy had balls of steel. He was a farmer, he and his brothers, and then he just didn't want to participate at the war at all. But they begged him. Liu Bei went and begged him, and then he went 3 times. He kept coming back, and finally Choku Liang was like, "All right." He met him, and he was like, "I like you, and I think it's the least worst option. I'll get involved." They called him the sleeping dragon, and when he awoke, he led a nation, but still they lost. It's a great story.
I
The
wonder
3
why.
kingdoms.
When I'm on, we always get into like way more philosophical conversations than usual. I feel like we're always.
Ian's going to come
Oh,
back
that's
as a Lone
crazy.
Star tick so he can take away people's ability to eat.
Dude,
meat.
that's terrifying.
No
And do
way.
you see how tiny they are?
And it's not permanent, by the way. The Lone
Yeah,
Star.
it's between 1 and 5 years.
Ian, a genie would come to him to be like, I want to come back, but I want to be Jewish. And they'd be like, well, grant your wish. And you come back as
Jewish Lone Star
1939.
Dude,
Oops.
I'd be down to come back.
Should've
You should have
specified the
your
year.
property sprayed. You should have your property
We do.
sprayed for ticks. Okay, good.
Yeah, we do. And we have guinea fowl.
Okay, guinea fowl homes.
Those things are dumb.
I wear like a raincoat with a hood because I'm so afraid of the ticks.
Dude, I kind of want to be like Cybertech Jesus now. Like, somebody, I got a comment in
Kind of.
2007. There's Encyclopedia Dramatica. It's this website where they were like, maybe they'd be like, he's like Cybok Jesus on the, because I was like trying to like get my
Cybok?
mind into, yeah, Cybok is like a Star Trek reference, I think.
What are those little bugs that weevils? So there were a bunch of weevils all over the place, but
Oh,
there were
the little
people.
cute ones.
Yeah, but people they're called weevils, I guess, and people didn't know that they weren't ticks. They thought they were ticks, started freaking out and smashing them. Oh, they're like, "Oh, there's ticks everywhere," and it's like, and then they found out those were just weevils.
Maybe I'm
that what they're called?
over-complexifying life, you
I
guys.
thought weevils look like little grubs.
I haven't been paying attention.
No, weevils look like ticks.
I'm like, if it happens,
You
it
do?
happens
Yeah.
to me.
I'm just thinking
Let me
about
look at them.
kids and like having the simple life where you sit outside and you
Here,
watch
look.
the kids
Just
play
giving
and like
up. I've
weevils.
given up.
Oh yeah. They have that funny snap.
They don't look like ticks, but they
Half
you know.
stink bug.
They don't
like
not
half.
look
It's like
ticks.
half people,
Right,
half
right.
tick.
And so there were a bunch of them, and they were like black ones, and they were like all over the place out here, and everyone was freaking out about ticks, so they were like and spraying, and like
People are.
they're completely harmless.
That's a little sad that people don't know. the difference.
Weevils.
We have some seriously dangerous looking bugs here, but like they're harmless.
I was bit by a Lyme tick when I was young. I got the bullseye on my arm and all. I pulled it out.
wow.
And I got a pool, and I got. But
Did you get Lyme disease?
no, They gave me like lots of deoxycycline.
I got one tick in my armpit about a year and a half ago. It was crazy, and I got it. It was like all dried out. I was like, "What is that
That
scab?"
visual, I'm not loving.
Pulled it out.
It was dead?
Gross. No, I think it was still living. It was like it tried to burrow into me while I was pulling it out. I like
What
twisted
happens
it and
if
got
they
it
get all
out.
the way in?
They don't. They stick their mouth in and they suck, and then they get all big.
They definitely do burrow though.
He was
like-
trying to.
They say you're not. Yeah, they stick their heads in and drink your blood. They say you're not supposed to stress them out because they'll spit back in, and that's how you get the alpha gal.
Do you like play music for him and calm him down?
You're supposed to. Well,
Breathe slowly.
don't fact check me on this one. Don't take this advice. But I watched a thing where they said you put tweezers as far down as you can and pinch until it gives up and pulls out to get away. But if you like take a lighter or a heat source, it'll freak
I
out
thought
and
you put, like,
spit
alcohol
everything
on
into
it.
you.
Or you get it
That stresses it out and it
wine and dine.
spits
Wanna
the
give it
gunk
a good
into
time.
Yeah.
You can, I think, tie a little string around it too, and then twist it slowly, and that'll kind of get it
Give it
out.
like a
and
little
pull
massage.
gently.
And you'll be like,
yeah,
oh.
rubbing's back.
Rub his
I'm like,
back feet.
or what if you
Some
just
of them-
blast it?
Some of them are almost like
What if you just-
microscopic. They look like lice or something. They're like that little. They're like
Yeah.
like super small.
Oh, the little
You
ticks.
can negotiate with it.
You could have a conversation. And be like, listen, I'll give you
I'll find you some food.
$14, and I'll take you to McDonald's. I don't even.
I'll
go
take you to the
McDonald's.
blood bank right now. You can fill yourself.
I was at
You're
a
obviously
restaurant
thirsty.
nearby, and it was like a regular old diner, and there's a tick walking on the ground,
Freaking crap.
and you can't crush them. They're flat. They're flat insects. And so I took something and I smashed it and just grinded into it back and forth and picked it up and started walking away.
Wow.
I was like, holy
You
crap.
gotta stab it,
You got to burn them.
burn it.
Not if they're
How much
on
of
you,
it?
though. If they're on, yeah.
It's not my domain.
So-
Is it true they came from Connecticut from under auspices.
This is the Lyme
well,
disease.
ticks have been around forever.
The
But Lyme disease is a different
conspiracy
thing.
theory of Lyme disease is Lyme, Connecticut. There's an island off the coast of Lyme, Connecticut, where they do like biological research, and that they were maybe researching a new bioweapon with Lyme, this disease, Lyme's, and then it got infested in the ticks, and then from there,
and
like
then
the
they
first
release
reported
them on
case was-
purpose.
Because the first reported case was like on Long Island, right? Like right across the.
okay, maybe right across
so
from
it
Lyme,
makes
Connecticut.
sense, right?
There's a name of the island if you can pull it up. ChatGPT will know.
Little St. James, maybe.
What's the name of the island off of Lyme, Connecticut, where they think Lyme disease originated? Let's hear this, dude.
The island you're thinking of is Shelter Island.
Shelter Island.
Shelter
Okay,
Island.
so we could look up Shelter Island.
That's kind of an ominous name to it. Yeah.
Shelter Island.
I love that Tim's trying to kill bugs.
And then the Rolling Stones gave me
Picture it.
Shelter. They were trying to like impede, like
Spiders are based though. I like spiders.
I don't like.
Yeah, I let those live.
It's funny because like I'm at home and I'm just like watching Greg Gutfeld, and then I hear a scream and I get up and run, and it's like there's this little tiny spider. My
Well,
wife.
because here we have like Daddy Long. They're kind of fun. Like I remember when
Daddy
we like
Long
play
likes
with.
birds.
But then you meet like
All
Australians.
spiders
and
are
Australians
based.
are like, yeah, pretty much every animal in our country is trying to kill.
Spiders are smart too. Like if they build a web in your walkway, you break the web. You're like, talk to them, be like, sorry, dude, you can't build here, and then they'll chill and they'll build up in the corner. They want to hang.
Our bad, sorry.
And the more relaxed you are,
Eat
the more
mosquitoes
relaxed
and flies.
I know what they eat, but like
Yeah, they're
still,
based.
No, they're still disgusting.
It's the big ones that are no good. Like
Spiders
giant
go in the
spiders
corner
that
and
will-
mind their own business.
Like the ones in Iraq.
You know, like
Centipedes in Chicago chase you.
50,000 years ago, there were
Spiders kill the
giant
centipedes.
spiders.
long,
dude.
chase
long
you.
leggers, like with the thousand.
like the Minecraft.
And you'll be like, you'll be chilling in your living room watching TV, and you'll see a centipede, and you'll go, uh oh, and it'll just run
used to
straight
walk
towards
in-
you.
Yeah.
And then you'll jump over, and it'll turn and keep coming, and you're like, get away.
Even like
Leave me alone.
imagine cave diving like 30,000 years ago, and then you're going through like cobwebs, and then you get stuck, and you're like, what the? And then all of a sudden you get a little more stuck, and then a bunch of spiders crawl down and
Never
start
go
biting you
cave diving.
and poisoning you, and then wrapping you up in your because they had
what is
that's how
happening?
they lived in shelter. You know,
Got
they
in a
had
bug conversation.
they find a cave, and then the like, giant millipede comes up and bites, stings you with poison venom, and you're like, oh, you're like paralyzed. Like as it
Ian's-
wraps you up, you're like,
I think that's just Australia. Like, it
Bro,
still happens there.
That's like terror fuel, and that's where the fear of spiders comes from, I think, because otherwise they're innocuous. They just chill.
Yeah. Have you
What
heard
else
that?
do we
Like
have
you
for
know,
news,
how
Tim?
we hate the sound of like a knife
more
on a
fun.
plate. Like they say.
Oh, I want to talk about
like
this.
animal.
We got this from the New York Times. Peter Thiel is fleeing to Argentina. And,
Wow.
you know, with the death threats and the extremism, I think they're seeing the writing on the wall. They literally say in the New York Times that he's concerned about the future of the United States, but there's a lot of people who are like, let me just put it this way. When the powerful billionaires are like, time to leave the country, and they go to Argentina, I think there's something they maybe know that we
I
don't.
read
Why
today it was
Argentina?
He's German.
That's what I was thinking.
No, but I mean, Buenos Aires is kind of awesome.
it's mountainous, Bariloche.
It's South America, but it's general. It's higher income.
There's a lot of nuclear research in Bariloche.
But
That's
if you're
where the
trying to
Nazis
like,
went.
if you're trying to hide away from political instability, like the last place you would go would be Argentina. They like literally have the oscillating government. But
Yes, but if you're concerned about being murdered by far left extremists,
Yeah, they
and
don't-
Argentina's
hide in
fine.
the mountains, that is literally where the Nazis went after World War II to hide.
Yeah.
There was a funny viral video where this woman was like, I'm exploring Argentina. I found this beautiful little German village. And the top comment was, no one tell her.
I heard that Peter Thiel, it's going to be temporary. He called it a temporary move to Argentina.
Until what?
I don't.
Yeah, until
Malay's out of office.
No, it's temporary until he figures out whether Antifa is going to burn this country down or Trump is going to
I
take.
think he's probably most concerned about like the redistribution policies coming to the United States, specifically in California. And I think what's going this is the most prevailing theory that I've accepted. There's a lot of theories going on as why Thiel has skipped the country because people are trying to downplay it. They're like, no, he just bought a house there. It's like he's putting his kids in the local school. That's like kind of important here. I think what's going on here is he knows that California is passing this massive redistribution tax. It's going to be a huge tax on billionaires. And he understands that even if he moved to like Virginia or you name it, wherever he moved, Florida, that California will still utilize the banking system to come after his money. So what he's trying to do here, this is the most prevailing theory, and the one I think is probably correct. So if he goes to Argentina, he's under the watch of Milei. If California comes and tries to audit his Argentinian bank account, Milei can turn it into a wedge issue. He can say, I'm standing up against the Democrats in the United
Okay.
States. And then all of a sudden their Republican Party will be in love with Milei.
It'd be
Let me.
like
I'm going to
El
show you something
Salvador.
scary. You guys want to see something scary? See Buenos Aires province right here.
Buenos Aires, good air.
Buenos
that
Aires,
is, I think, right?
good air. See how it's greenish?
Yes.
What do you think? So the entirety of the province is like basically the same hue. What kind of terrain do you think it is?
Jungle
They
basin.
call it the La Pampas. It's like wonderful farming land.
Oh, it is literally the whole province is one big farm.
Whoa!
So choose any location and zoom in, and what do you find? All farms. Let's zoom out and go over here. We zoom in.
I got a plan.
All farms. The reason I bring this up is people don't realize the extent to which the human footprint. So if you go to like the East Coast right here, there's the Pennsylvania wilds where you actually still have a lot of trees.
Those are great places to drive through.
So you can see here, it's mountainous, so there's trees. You can look at Appalachia, and you can see this strip here, and there's trees. But for the most part, the entirety of the terrain of the Midwest, you're like, I wonder what that is. Literally, Illinois is one giant farm.
That's
One gigantic farm with cities.
probably because of when the flood occurred, it just flattened it.
No, my point is human expansion is much larger than most people consider.
Dude, I have this map of the world on my wall, and it's like a couple nights I was like thinking about how you were saying the other day, the humans, what they cherish the human story. Like we've named the earth, we've cut it into little pieces and called it different things, and that's our human.
Why don't we be conquerors again, right? And take all the based right-wing people and go take over some South America farm.
Uruguay.
It looks like they're-
Bro, we could take Uruguay.
They just
We could do
designated.
it. We
You
could
know,
do it.
Uruguay's the
I think
widest.
that should be the plan.
Uruguay's the widest country in the Western Hemisphere.
So let's go.
What?
They just named 2 groups
Like
in
85%
Brazil
white.
terrorist organizations.
And it's all farms. You zoom in, it's literally nothing but farms.
That's the new plan.
Argentina is a fascinating country. Like, it'd be difficult to get you to pin in on it, but there's an entire province called the Chubut province there, and there's if you zoom in on the town names in the Chubut province, they're all Welsh names, and the reason for that is because in like the late 1800s, a lot of Welsh people.
province, where's that?
If you go
La Pampa.
Rio Negro,
Oh, there it is,
and you go down
Chubut.
there and zoom in and
That
just
sounds Jewish.
look at some of the town names. Go to the right, like there's one called like
Tim, you have me
Rawson?
Rawson, Trey. So the reason for that is
Cabo Raso. That sounds Welsh.
in the late 1800s, a lot of Welsh people were fearing like the English were like displacing their culture. They have a language, the Welsh language. So a lot of them moved to Argentina so they could preserve the Welsh language. Well, they ended up going down there in Patagonia where like no one would mess with them because back then, there was no transcontinental flights, that sort of thing. And what ended up happening was when the Falkland Wars broke out in 1982, Argentina invaded the Falklands and then Maggie Thatcher came down and, destroyed them. What happened was all the Argentinian POWs that were caught in the Falklands were being transported back to Argentina. Now, a lot of the Royal Marines that were escorting these gentlemen back to Argentina, they didn't speak English, the Argentinians, and they didn't speak Spanish. So there was a language barrier. Well, there's a story about one of the Royal Marines. He was from Wales, and he was trying to communicate with them, and they're like back talking in Spanish or whatever. And then all of a sudden, he starts hearing a guy jaw at him in Welsh. And he's like, what? Wait, what? What was that? And he keeps talking to him in Welsh. So that just like demonstrates that Argentina is a very European place, but it's just been completely, it's like a backwater in a lot of ways. And so they completely forgot. And then lo and behold, the British come down and they're having an argument in Welsh, like a language that is, has declined massively over the last 100
let
years.
the Dems have America. Let's go get our own. Let's conquer a new territory and just
Let's
live
take
on
Yeah,
it.
but who's
Uruguay,
going to do
bro.
the fighting?
I will.
What? I don't want to
Like
fight.
if you zoom in
love
on
to
if you
fight.
zoom in on Buenos Aires,
not
there's
worth
a lot
it.
of neighborhoods that have English names because the Anglo-Argentine community was quite
You don't get-
expansive there. And there's a
Look how massive this place is. Crazy.
There's a club called the Hurlingham Club, and it's this like one of the world's most prestigious polo clubs and bowling
love
clubs in the world,
polo.
and it's all like Anglo-Argentines.
Dude, the city is just Buenos Aires is massive.
Yeah.
Was it like 16 million in the metro?
Yeah, it's huge.
Buenos Aires. This is all
Yeah.
Argentina.
And they also had similar dynamics to the United States. They had a lot of illegal immigration coming into the country from like Peru and Bolivia and stuff. And so part of Malay's campaign was, I'm going to get all these illegals out of here. So they have a lot of the same dynamics to the United States.
What is Argentine? What is the etymology of Argin? Is that blue? Does that mean blue?
Usually they're like derivatives of a native indigenous
What does it
name.
mean? It means something small. Tina means it's a small thing.
But yeah, it's a
Latin
fascinating
word
place.
meaning Argenta meaning
Argentine-
silver. Means silver. So small silver. Maybe there were a lot of silver mines here when they populated it.
But yeah,
I don't know,
Argentina's a
but
fascinating-
remember,
Argentum is silver.
wasn't like the president of Uruguay like some fat old farmer or something?
That checks out. Uruguay is a very like Italian and Spanish place. Peru is fascinating. So a lot of Japanese went to South America in the late 1800s, early 1900s. And Peru famously had a Japanese president, Alberto Fujimori. And it was really fascinating. A country that had maybe a couple 100,000 Japanese people. The Japanese were like dominating the elite in Peru.
Whoa.
Like the restaurant Nobu. You're familiar with the restaurant Nobu?
Yeah,
That
of course.
is actually cuisine from Peru. It's Japanese Peruvian quote unquote fusion, but
Bro.
it's because of the Japanese community there. And so Fujimori's daughter is actually like now the head honcho.
The per capita GDP of Uruguay is 40,000.
Yeah, it's a very nice place.
Yeah, there's the etymology of Argentina.
That's like comparable to the United States.
It's Sierra de la Plata, the Silver Mountain.
And even southern Brazil, so like Santa Catarina and the Sul, is all like it's all European. So those bottom three states there, Parana, Santa Catarina, and Rio Grande do Sul, is all Europeans. And actually, I think it's Santa Catarina has a massive German population.
But you guys-
a lot of them still speak German.
You may know, but when they were divvying up, when the Europeans were divvying up the conquest of the Western Hemisphere in like the 1500s, the Portuguese got the furthest east part of South America, Brazil, basically,
Yeah.
and all the other Europeans could colonize everything else.
Well-
That's why you see that.
What's the biggest city in Uruguay? Montevideo?
Yeah. Portugal and
Montevideo.
Spain were like basically going at it. They're trying to determine who was going to be able to control what. And so they went to the Pope and he said, okay, here's the agreement. Spain basically gets the like the corners of the world. Portugal gets the middle. So all the colonies in Africa were Portuguese. and then all the colonies in Asia and South America were Spanish. But there was a sliver that was allocated to the Portuguese, which became Brazil.
Portugal got
Uruguay is
screwed.
86% white, 10% black, 6% indigenous.
Yeah, it's a very white place, and those are like actually like,
More white than the United
people.
States.
Yep, it's the whitest country in the Western Hemisphere, and whiter than most of Europe at this point.
Uruguay.
Wow.
Interesting. I heard that was where we were
pronounced
supposed to
Uruguay.
start a business. Uruguay.
Uruguay.
We were talking about doing a graphene corporation in Uruguay. I don't know why, but apparently it's very favorable to like American.
Yeah, there's a lot
businessmen.
of expats. You know, expat is just a white immigrant. There's a lot of them in Montevideo.
Have you spent time in the jungle?
In Africa, yeah.
South African jungle at all, or South American jungle?
Never been to South America. I've been to Trinidad. It's kind of close, but never been.
Okay.
I really want to go. I really like to go to Argentina.
Yeah, sail down
Trinidad
the river.
and Tobago.
Timcast trip and go from.
Yeah, I mean, it'd be
go to Japan.
fascinating to
Little jungle
document
love.
LA because
Damn,
like
why Japan?
Japan's awesome.
Argentina at the turn of the 19th century, so that going into the 1900s was the wealthiest country in the Western Hemisphere.
What was?
Argentina.
Oh,
Why
yeah.
is
The
that?
wealthiest country in the Western Hemisphere, and then a bunch of political instability leading into the Peronist years. It just completely destroyed their country.
And then a lot of German people went there.
Yeah, sure did.
But it's kind of funny because, you know, I think about like 10 to 20,000, like, you know, Third Reich exiles went there, but there was already a massive German population there. That's actually why they went there, is because there was already an established German
Right.
population. And now you have a lot of Mennonites. Like the Mennonites like are running the show in Bolivia and Paraguay because they're super efficient. They can produce a lot of food.
I really wouldn't want to leave. I like places where there's like, I would go to like, if England's, you know,
You can move to the
their
Falklands.
government was different. You know what I mean? I like places with history and old buildings, and I don't want to live over there.
Have you been to South America?
No, I have no interest in going to South
It was kind of crazy. I lived in Chile and Santiago for a short period of time, and the federales, man, the federal cops. This is why I'm really, really reticent about deploying the National Guard, because just in Santiago, it's just common for the federal government to control street corners everywhere you go. Dudes in federal outfits with guns, and it's like
I think we're
very
toast.
disconcerting.
Chile is another example of like kind of bizarre European migration patterns because their founding father, his name's Bernardo. You see that checks out as Chile. His last name's O'Higgins. He was of Irish extraction, so they're kind of their George Washington in some ways was a man named Bernardo O'Higgins. It's really dramatic. I don't think he spoke English either. And like you see this all across like Argentina's star midfielder, and he was a star in the last World Cup. He plays for Liverpool. His name's Alexis. It's like checks out. His last name is McAllister. So his name's Alexis McAllister. Didn't speak any English until he moved to England, but he's of like Scottish extraction. It's really fascinating. A lot of the dynamics in South America. The Croatians like totally run the show, and
Still have no interest in going.
Paraguay.
You should go to the jungle. It's crazy. Go to Iquitos in northeast
What
Peru.
if we stage an expedition to escape the intercontinents and traverse the ice wall?
We would have
That
to
would
take
be
the
kinda
Amazon
cool. That I'm
That'd be
much
interesting.
more.
to the center. I think we would get turned away if we go to
like the cold.
The ice wall?
Penguins might like
yeah, you're
rally.
looking at the southern what's that place called?
You know,
Pole.
the Titanic did not hit a iceberg, but like a ton of icebergs.
No, I
all
didn't.
at once. I just
Really?
watched this guy who did like studied it for 9 years. Anyway, that made me think of the ice wall. It was literally last night I was watching.
Yeah, the Titanic movie, when they're in the water, it's still like lit, but that's the scariest part is there's no light whatsoever. So when the Titanic goes down, the lights go out in the boat, it's pitch black. That's the scary.
Dude, pitch black is crazy.
And there were
people
people trapped on that boat in air pockets, just like
You
pitch
you
black
would
until
just
they
hear,
died.
you would see nothing. It'd be like a sensory deprivation tank, but screams. That would be the only thing you could hear.
Apparently, there was like this mirage thing that happened. Like instead, you know how like when you're in the desert and you see like that little mirage. Well, they said it was a clear night, and because of the temperature of the water and the temperature of it was like warmer out, that it created this like oceanic mirage type of thing. And then they didn't like not see the iceberg. There was like they hit like.
That's a great
7
story.
icebergs.
What actually happened is there was a decoy ship. The most important people escaped.
Oh, I did hear
The whole
that.
thing was planned so they could
For
create the Federal
insurance.
Reserve.
Yeah, a bunch of influential people died on that boat. That was a crazy part of the story.
Yeah. Are we going down there?
No,
We should remake the Titanic and then do it again. This time everything will be okay.
dude, Richie Jackson was telling me about this shipwreck where these guys went down to like just excavate basically the depths of the death and all that, and see all the dead bodies, and one of the guys was swimming down there, and a guy reached out and grabbed like a guy had survived in an air pocket.
Oh, yeah. It's a big story of like a few months ago. He was on there for 3 days in pitch black, just in an air pocket. And they were going down to recover the dead bodies when a guy grabbed in the divers and they turned a light. They saw him and they were like, "There's a survivor."
Bro, and he survived. He's okay
video
now.
of it.
Wow.
That you got to send me that. That would give me a heart
Pitch black
attack.
is crazy. This is why I think about like order and how like I thought again about this weird story. If you were out in the woods in the pitch dark trying to survive and you found a small village of light and you're like, oh my
Yeah,
God.
here, look.
Like in order to come into the village, you must eat a child. You're like,
I don't know
no.
why I just changed the image to a bunch of cows,
We like them too.
but you know,
That
it
was
had the
fun.
guy there for. There you go.
That
He
was him.
made it. He was the chef.
Yup.
He was a chef, I think.
Dude, I'm sorry, but he's scary looking anyway.
He's just in water for days in an air pocket.
Is that him underwater in the boat?
Yeah, in the pocket they filmed it. That's
Wow,
crazy.
I'd be so
Dude.
upset if that were me. I'd be pissed.
If they found you, to be like, guys, I was so comfortable, like
I'm sure
finally
he's happy
peace and
he
quiet.
lived.
Yeah.
He tried to go down with the ship, but
The things guys will do to escape women.
Imagine he gave up. Like, is this what they call ego death? Where
They
you're
find him and he's like, "Don't tell my wife."
Yeah.
like, what would that do to you if you believe you're going to die? Like, you truly just accept it, and then you live like that for days.
We saw a case study in Hawaii when they were all convinced that there was a nuclear warhead.
Oh yeah, the text alert went out to everybody saying a nuke is coming, and then everyone freaked out.
Because the general understanding of human psychology is like everyone would start
Wasn't-
because we saw in Russia and Moscow when they thought like Napoleon was coming to destroy all of them, and the same thing with the Germans is they thought it would turn into like a giant brothel, and it
I
did.
think-
But in Hawaii, everyone was just like,
One of the stories out of Hawaii was that a male and female cousin banged.
yeah, the human psychology gets weird.
There was a post online where it was like a woman said that when they all got the text messages that a missile was inbound to Hawaii, they freaked out. And then her male cousin was there, and they were like, "Screw it," and they just like hooked up. And then it was like on Reddit or something. And then when they were like, they found out it was a false alarm, and they're kind of like, "Uh-oh," and they got married.
Oops. Let's just. Oh, they did.
I'm kidding.
Okay. That's a good story.
There
I mean,
is
it's
a
a-
weird
it's a
story.
horrible
about that,
story.
Like, that's a crime thing that was like that there was a girl and she had an affair with her cousin, I believe her first cousin, and then she broke it off because she's like, "Oh, this is terrible and wrong." And then he went and like massacred everyone in her family. This was like recently too.
Really?
That way you
like,
don't have to be
it's just
embarrassed
not
anymore.
fair?
Don't worry, you can't be embarrassed because I killed everybody.
He was so upset about it that like everybody but her husband like survived the attack, and that's how like they found out it was him. But like her mother went in to check on her, and then
Wait, she was married and cheating on her husband with her cousin?
yeah, it's
Jeez.
horrible.
Oh,
But like this is like it legit happened.
I think I'm more disturbed by her cheating on her husband than I am that getting with her cousin. Although I'm not into cousin on cousin. I'm not saying that.
This
What
hap-
about second cousins?
I think
It
that's
was
okay.
This was first cousins.
No, I know, but like, how do you guys feel about second
A
cousin?
second cousin means it's your dad's cousin.
No,
Isn't that what
second
that?
cousins
still
are.
weird.
Second cousin is your dad's cousin, so it's like or your mom's cousin.
Yeah. I think that's
It's a
okay.
little less gross.
It's still gross.
It's still gross. Yeah.
What about like
less
third?
gross than your
Is
first
third cousin and your grandpa or grandma's cousin? Because now you're talking about age gaps too. But like cousin of a cousin.
So gross, man. All of it. Just stay away from your own family.
Ian's trying to figure out which cousin he can bang.
I'm
Well,
going
like,
through
I
the
am-
Rolodex right now.
I'm eighth cousins.
She was
with,
hot.
I'm eighth cousins with Taylor Swift.
I will say
Avril Lavigne is
Don't
an
hold
eighth
back.
cousin of mine.
Oh, really?
make me look
Yeah.
bad, but when I was young, my mom had her cousins, right? And then they had kids, and then one of their kids was his name was he was kind of like he was cute, like a good looking kid, but then he was still like it wasn't really my cousin, but like I could see we're not related by blood.
Who was he?
Oh, so
okay, not
this
related
is
by
interesting. You and your second cousin, your furthest line is your great grandparent, but you have different grandparents.
blood. I see.
But I don't think that's how people conventionally use
Your grandparent's sibling has a kid. Their grandchild would be your second cousin.
But I think the way people typically use second cousin is like, for example, if your first cousin had a child, that would be your second cousin.
Also, that would be your
Is
second.
it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then your first cousins will be your children's second
Okay,
cousins.
that's not
That's
what
how
I was
people.
thinking of
That's how
by
people.
second cousins.
That's how people
Now,
typically use.
my
second
buddy's dad,
This way,
But it's not correct. That's the correct. This is the correct.
right?
my friend, his dad's brother married his mom's sister. It's not a weird thing. His cousin is her
like
cousin's
great-
Oh
parents.
yeah, no, this
is
was
his-
Ancestry.com
uncle, yeah.
just breaks.
There's a funny viral story where a woman, she went viral because she married what is it? Like she married a guy at a family, like she met a guy at a family event and they got married. And they were like, I forgot what the thing was. She was like, "We are not related, but they were cousins." Because it was like the way it worked was it was her cousin's she married her cousin's cousin. And so everybody was like, "You're related." And she's like, No. My cousin is related to me from my dad, but my cousin's mom has a sister who had a kid, and I married that kid who's not related to me because
I condone
Right
it.
now-
it's still weird.
It is weird.
I like it. It just sounds weird on
That's the kind of stuff
paper.
I'm
The
talking about. That
verbiage
like
is
I can
socially
see, but it's
unacceptable,
still
yeah.
weird.
You know, it is kind of crazy too that like I never really thought about it because my family wasn't that big, but it didn't occur to me till I was like a little older. My cousins had cousins who were not related to me.
I know.
Right.
It's the biggest betrayal when you find it. No, but like if you're a founding stock, so if you have any like Mayflower descendants
I don't.
Or ancestors,
I'm
then
the Putnams. I don't know if they are.
yeah, so 51 Mayflower passengers had children. So if you are of Mayflower stock, you're going to be related to every other.
Oh, they were all inbreeding, the Mayflowers?
No, but
Well,
just
bro,
because there
like,
wasn't
let's
that
be
many,
real.
there's 51 of them.
If you have the same last name as someone, you're related.
Likely, yeah. Well, and if you're
Except for
if you have
Smith.
any European
Yeah, the
heritage,
Smiths are related.
and if you have any-
sometimes they change their name to like whatever their job was, so you never know.
and if you
Well,
have any
no.
Western,
The reason people last names originated from the jobs, and the reason why there's so many Smiths is because when a conqueror took over a country, you don't kill the blacksmiths; they make weapons for you. And when you're going to war, you don't send the blacksmiths because they make weapons for you. So Smiths survived.
Well, I think there are cases where someone's like, "What's your name?" He's like, "I don't know. What do you do?" "I'm a blacksmith." "Okay, then you're Smith."
Ian,
And you're not related to the other guy who is Smith.
you can actually just look this up. Last names
We're both
are-
right.
There wasn't a thing where it was like, "What's your last name?" "I don't know, but I'm a Smith." It was, "He is John the Smith," and that's why there's names like Juan de Smith. You know what I mean?
But I mean,
It means
when they-
John of the Smith.
When
or
they
of
come to
Smith.
the United States and they're like signing paperwork at Ellis Island, and they'll be like, "What your name is incomprehensible to me. So what do you? What do
No,
you do?"
their
"I
names
play
would be
basketball."
like-
"Okay, then you're Jumper."
No, we're talking about Native Americans. For people who came here, they'd be like, "My name is Rick of Rome," and they'd put your name as Richard de Rome or de Roma or something. Mm-hmm. You're from like so. People got there are modern versions, but
John Jumper.
there's a bunch of names like related to the job you do. Smith, we were blacksmiths.
There's
Schmidt,
a show called The Black Smiths, and they were all black, but also Smiths.
That's
is
pretty
that
cool.
is that real?
No, I just made that up.
Oh,
Black
There could be a
Smiths?
show like that. It'd be like a double entendre. It'd be kind of funny.
You might be able to get away
so
with
here's
that.
the list, Ian.
Okay, I need,
Of this list, where would you where is the line for you?
for me,
Yeah,
but who I would bang?
yeah, sibling.
Third cut. No, I wouldn't bang my siblings. I never had a sister though, but no, I wouldn't do it.
Thank Evans.
Cousin, no. Second cousin, you're kind of getting unrelated at that point.
It's kind of weird. I had a girl in my class who I found out was a cousin. I guess my dad's side, my aunt, her husband's niece was this girl. So we
Yeah, so you're not related at all.
Yeah, not
yeah, but
related.
it's weird because we're still.
That was the thing about that chick who married her cousin's cousin is she's like, my cousin's mother, my aunt, is an aunt by marriage.
Yeah,
So we have no blood relation.
yeah.
Her sister had a child. So my cousin and him are cousins, but we have no blood relation. So that's like a weird
Oh, yeah.
Like the triforce of cousin
I
marriage.
have a real friend, and I'll just use fake names here. Obviously, his name is John, and he married Sue, and they got married. Now Sue's younger sister Jane and John's younger brother Joe, they also married. So they're both married. So then when they have kids, yes,
Because
they're
they're siblings.
cousins, but they're half
That's
siblings.
my buddy
genetic
Steve and his
half-siblings.
cousin
well,
Shanna.
if they're twins.
They're more than
If
just
they're
cousins.
twins, they're genetic half siblings. Yeah,
They're genetic
No, they're
siblings.
genetic siblings.
Yeah,
but
that
then if
crazy.
they're not twins, they have genetic half siblings.
Yeah, so if your dad is a twin, your cousin is actually your half brother.
Yeah.
Or half sister.
Yeah.
But if you're both twins, if your mom is a twin and your dad is a twin, you actually are just brother and sister.
And
Yeah,
it's kind of interesting,
genetically.
like
It's crazy, right?
And some of these like classical understandings, like there was a story going on recently because a guy, his wife died, and he ended up like marrying her younger sister, and everyone was like disturbed by this, but that was like the way it worked for.
Yeah, it's how it used to be back
Well,
then.
I'm thinking that's why we're talking about monarchy. I'm like
Like in
well,
The Patriot.
If,
Yeah.
if
His
your
wife
how the
dies, and then
Rothschilds got
his
it.
wife's sister came and took care of his kids.
if your dad was the king and he was like, "You're going to be marrying your cousin," you're like, I'm doing
Yep.
whatever you say because you're the king. Or he's like, "I'm going to have
No,
you
it was
marry
normal,
your
bro.
sister." What's that?
Yeah, it was the Habsburgs. They were just like, okay.
They would marry each
The
other.
Rothschilds did it too. That's how
Yeah,
they
they all
had a
did.
big
All the
collapse.
royalty
Yeah,
did.
they want to insulate the wealth.
Yes.
Yeah.
Insulating power and wealth
See,
through
one of
bloodlines.
the eighth in line of the Habsburgs throne was on Michael Knowles' show the other day.
No.
Really?
Really?
Yeah, and he was like giving his geopolitical takes.
Does he have
They
the
have
jaw?
like, does he have a jaw?
Yeah, the Habsburg jaw is crazy. That
'cause
inbred
they
jaw.
think-
Would you marry your third cousin? You share the same great grandparent.
If I fell in love, probably.
Here's the crazy thing, though. Let's take a look at this, right? So let's say great grandparent had her first child at 19 years old. So at 30, so at great grandparent is 19 and has her first kid. So now it's 38, 19. Your grandparent at 19. So here you are. You've got a 38-year-old grandparent. You've got a let's just do 20-year gaps. So 20, 40, 60. You have a 60. Hold on. You've got a 40-year-old grandparent, a 60-year-old great grandparent, and an 80-year-old great grandparent, and you meet your second. So this would be your second cousin. You'd share a great grandparent. I guess if it made it to you, your third cousin and you could theoretically have a 100-year-old great grandparent, and you go to family meetings together. Like, would you marry that person?
If I was married to her and then I found out, I wouldn't divorce her. But if I found out beforehand, I'd be real weirded out.
What about that reunion? It'd be like, ooh.
What about that episode of House where like they the man and the woman find out they're half siblings because the dad cheated with the neighbor, and then the neighbor wife had a kid, and the boy grew up next to his next door neighbor, and they were high school sweethearts. And he was like, all growing up, my dad was always yelling at me to stay away from her, not to date her, but we love each other. And then they're like, yeah, you're half siblings.
Dude, and this is my question with gene therapy. Would you marry your great granddaughter?
What?
If she was super hot and you're in love with her? Because
That would be impossible.
if your body stays young as you age,
like 400 years old.
solar age goes up, but your genetic age stays the same, and your 35-year-old body, but you've been here for 190 years, and so
Ian,
Are we vampires now?
if you know it's coming to
Yes,
this,
I
we're going to
would.
be living
I
for a
would.
long time.
if you traveled back in time 200 years and met like your ancestor
And she was hot.
and she was hot, you'd hook up with her?
I don't want to mess with the
This is the
timeline.
question you're at.
I'm all about chaos theory, so
I'm good.
I'm concerned that I have my own
That
grandfather.
becomes-
Her child, but then also her like great grand.
And what if it's like the only way for you to exist is to have sex with me right now?
Isn't
I'd
that
be like,
a Back to the Future?
Futurama.
Yeah,
He
yeah.
almost hooked up with his
Fry's
mom.
He almost hooked up with
his
his
own
mom.
grandfather.
Mom wants to hook up with him. That's crazy.
That was Back to the Future.
But it makes sense because it looks
Yeah, that
half.
was in
It
Back-
looks half
In
like
Back
her
to the
dad.
Future,
Dad, her
he
husband.
was disappearing because he needed to connect his mom and dad. Futurama is when Fry goes back in time and meets his grandmother, and then realizes that his grandfather can't be his grandfather because his grandfather got blown up and he still exists. And then the professor goes, "You idiot! Isn't it obvious?" He's like, if so, Fry's grandfather gets blown up in a nuclear test, and Fry still exists, and goes, "Well, that proves he's not really my grandfather. That proves you're not my grandmother." So he bangs his grandma. And then the professor's like, isn't it? He's like, if my grandfather's dead, then who's my grandfather? And he goes, isn't it obvious, you idiot? It's you.
That's what I'm talking about.
And because he went back in time and banged his own grandmother, giving birth to his dad, and then who gave birth to him, it erased the delta brainwave from his brain. So now he can't be mind controlled by the giant brains.
Oh, see, there is value to inbreeding. It's a risk. You know, you have really good traits, like the Jews came up with some high intelligence, but they also have some weird disease, I think, that's
Yes.
inherent in
Oh
the
yeah,
Jewish-
what are they? They have some kind of blood thing, right?
It's a inbreeding. Yeah, I'm not sure exactly what it's called, but most
It's like
Jews that I
RH
talk to know
negative
what
or
it is.
something. No, I don't.
No,
remember.
that's just
no.
blood
It's,
type.
But
I do know what it's called because they have to test you for it when you have babies.
what, you're right about back
In
to the
Iceland,
Future.
apparently, they have an app to make sure they're not cousins when they
Yeah,
hook up
apparently that's a huge problem there.
Really?
Yeah.
Keep it in the
It's like
island.
an island, yeah.
because they're all cousins, man. Yeah, they're all woke too.
In
Go
like
ahead.
Crusader Kings, you know, you can change the law of like, is it legal to marry your second cousin? Is it legal to marry your cousin? Is it legal to marry your sister? And like back in the day, it was totally legal.
Cousin marriage was completely normal in all cultures for a long time, even in the United States.
Very.
And then in the Middle East, still common to this day, and it lowers your IQ.
Yeah,
Very bad.
significantly.
really?
Yeah.
Very bad. People, there's something called line breeding in chickens, where you just have the dad bang the kids. Yep, because they don't care. They're chickens.
I know, but like it's still gross even for chickens.
Do you eat their eggs?
Well, chickens have different genetics, so they don't have the same problems humans do.
So baseline for baseline 2 to 3% risk of major congenital disorders, just baseline if you're unrelated, 2 to 3% chance. 12.5% chance if you're first cousins. This is according to ChatGPT. 12.5% of if you share about 12% of DNA, then there's a 4 to 6% chance. Sorry, I misread that. If you share 12.5% of DNA with someone, meaning you're a cousin, there's a 4 to 6% chance of a congenital error. So it basically doubles from unrelated to first cousin. You have a
And then
2.3, and then it goes up to if you share about 3.1% of DNA, which is second cousins, It's about 3 to 3.5%, which is up from a 2 to 3%. Almost the same.
What's the number for siblings?
I didn't ask siblings. Let's find out. How about siblings?
You can gay.
Oh, here it is.
In New
Sibling,
York, you can
parent, or
gay
child.
marry your cousin.
Yeah, sibling, parent, or child, 50%.
Wow.
No. I'm sorry, I'm reading this. If you share 50% of your DNA, it just says much higher, very high. It doesn't say 4 to 6% from first
It
cousins.
should all be illegal, but they're legalizing it. Cousin marriage is getting legalized
In the UK and stuff.
in the United States because and sibling marriage is gonna happen too. The argument that's being made is with the gay marriage stuff, the door opened to everything. Like
Bad idea.
the argument is if you're as long as you're consenting adults, and so there have been these cases where it's like as long as you agree not to have kids or whatever, and they're gonna sue on those grounds and be like, you can't stop us, and then you're gonna have a bunch of inbred, deficient people.
Yeah, this says if you hook up with your uncle or your niece or your aunt or your nephew that you share about 25% DNA, there's a 10 to 20% chance of serious congenital disorder.
But
if it's your sibling,
what's the word for it? I guess it's just we should say in-law. Your in-laws, you may be
you're good to go.
You're good to go. That's right.
all the way. There's a 2
so
to
you're allowed to
3%
say.
chance like
so
everybody
if just if you ever are announcing that you're banging your aunt or uncle, just make sure you mention in-law.
And then if it's a sibling, 50%
Lisa's
DNA.
face, he's like, stop.
It says you about 25 to 40% chance or higher for severe deformity from your sibling. So it looks like it scales up linearly based on how much of a percent DNA you share with the person.
What happens if? Can you look this up? Like, what happens if you hooked up with your great grandparent?
What if you had a
That is-
kid
Okay. Still.
with your great? Because we're talking
How does that work?
as you
I
age,
don't even know.
it's going to happen to somebody eventually if it hasn't already. A great grandparent.
Is that possible?
They share about 12.5% DNA.
I mean,
roughly 4 to 6% chance. So not very
That's
high.
like your cousin.
Yes.
So hold on. If your great grandparent had their first kid at like 13, and then your grandparent had their first kid at 13, so they're 26 when your parent is born, so they're 39 when you're born. I don't think it's possible for you to have a child with your great grandparent.
Well, if
the grandparent was
if the grandparent's
dude.
the man.
This is definitely.
Oh yeah, duh.
This is
Right.
definitely.
If the grandparent's the man, you can. Not if it's the woman.
You could have a great,
This has definitely happened in
grandparent.
Pakistan, by the way.
And I'm telling you, as we
day.
gene therapy like Brian Johnson, and we live for 170 years in like 40-year-old bodies. So this says if it's your great-great-great-great-grandparent,
You're good.
it's only a 0.2% chance of DNA. It's about the same as just an unrelation. So if it is your great-great-great-great-great-great-granddaughter, I guess
So
you're
if you
good to
go back in time, you're good. You're
you
good.
can live till you're 200.
Because we just did a great.
I will say,
Are you my
there's a
great-grandmother?
man
You're
in
just
the
excited
UK
to see me.
Who's like a lord or something, and he's very, very, very wealthy, and he's literally looking for a young wife right now. So, like, if that's equivalent to your great, great, great grandfather,
Nah, they took away the lordships. Remember, like they.
he's got something where he wants to like leave his estate and something, and he needs a son.
Yeah, I'm saying the estate's worthless.
I think this is what Zeus
The
was
House of
doing.
Lords is cooked.
The House of Lords still exists. It's the hereditary peers are gone.
That's what I'm saying.
The historic.
Maybe he's just
Right, so-
rich
so-
then.
Now it's just politicians.
Maybe he's just
Exactly.
rich.
So when you're a lord and you're like, I'm a lord, it's like that means nothing.
Do you know why there's so
Shame.
many place names around here called Fairfax, Lord Fairfax, etc.? Is
Because he banged a lot of chicks.
Well, no. So Lord Fairfax was obviously a British lord, and he had a personal relationship with George Washington. They were buddies, and so the American Revolution happens. The United States takes away the nobility, all the titles from all the lords in America, except Lord Fairfax was spared. So he was the only American citizen that was allowed to keep his British peerage. Now 6 or 7 generations go by. It's the early to mid 1800s. They've long forgotten because no one in America cares about nobility. Well, this guy, he kind of like realizes like, hey, I'm actually technically entitled to a seat in the House of Lords. So he gets on a boat, he goes to London, he says, hey, you know that empty seat for Lord Fairfax? And they're like, yeah. And he's like, I probably got a Southern accent. And he says, I would like my seat back. And so the Fairfaxes were brought back into the House of Lords. And then until this year, his descendant was still in the House of Lords and he had Virginia heritage.
But what if like,
Fairfax?
you know,
Lord
one
Fairfax,
guy has a
he's buried
kid,
in Winchester, Virginia.
like who gets to decide? What happens if like, you know, Lord Brown has 3 kids, and then you're like, I am, you know, leaving, and the seat will befall to my eldest. Then he has 3 kids. And sooner or later, there's like 73, you know, Brown family who are like, who gets to have the seat?
The eldest Always the oldest boy.
In a primogeniture,
So that means like the second oldest has a
Gets cut
kid,
out.
and that kid's cut out and like
Yeah,
can
yeah.
never have access.
Well,
That's how you get like Scar murdering Mufasa.
That's how you got the South. The American South was the Cavalier class. Those were all the second children of British nobility, and they obviously they weren't going to inherit anything in Britain. So they took whatever wealth they did have. They moved to the United States. They moved to the South
get, like,
and
a
founded
certain
the Southern
allowance.
Gentry. The Southern Gentry were all the second and third.
I mean, that's kind of whack. Imagine like you're born and you grow up and you're like, by the way, like you're second, so you can't have you get nothing.
yeah, that was.
lot
You
of
just got to move to Georgia and figure it
Yeah,
out.
but they got like different benefits and privileges. They got like access and
Yeah, they were
would
still immensely
A lot
wealthy.
of them would go to like in the clergy, right? Like that was
Yes.
a big thing.
Yeah.
for
Because
them
then they
to
couldn't
get.
inherit, and that was because it was dangerous. Sometimes they'd be given like a kingship or a lordship, like a duchy or something, by their brother who was the king now. Before that was called primogenitures, when they evolved to be able to give everything to the eldest. It
I
used to
like
be-
the feudal system.
It used to be called gavelkind, where the guy would die and the land would just get split up amongst the kids, and they'd fight. They'd immediately go to war, and whichever one took over would be the new king. It was horrible for siblings and stuff, and they'd be killing each other. And then they also have something called ultimogeniture, which is where they give it everything goes to the youngest. That was like what the Mongols did, because it ensured like a longer reign, because a lot of chaos would ensue when there would be a short reign, when a king would serve for 6 years and die, because it's already just been
Yep.
split up again.
And then you'd have these young kids running it. That's happened.
Yeah, and then if the kid's
And
too
you get
young, if the kid's
regent
like
and all that
11, they'd have,
stuff, right, yeah.
they'd put somebody in charge like Snape, or somebody would come and take over the kingdom and run the kingdom with the kid as like a figurehead.
Yeah. They did a lot of that with the tutors.
Dude, that's been
Things
like
like
the
that.
way humanity worked forever.
I think
until
that's the way it
recently.
should be.
As far as we know, in writing, like
Divorce
tribal
is
wars-
illegal.
Yo, what's that?
Yes.
Divorce is
I
illegal.
want to talk about Zeus for a minute, because I think he banged his children and his children's children.
I don't think Zeus is real.
I think he was. I think it was a dude that had electricity and like passed down from Atlantis.
Why are you looking at me, Lisa?
And they wrote stories. He told everyone he was a god. They lived up in the mountains in this cult, this Zeus cult, where he banged all his kids and all his kids' kids, and
And they popped out of his forehead and all that.
they made up stories. But they definitely had fire and electricity, and they were like,
Well,
we gotta go
Prometheus
bring
stole
the,
it, though.
yeah, Prometheus was like, we gotta go give the commoners the fire, and he's like, you better not. It's too dangerous to give this technology to the people. Prometheus is like, screw you, Zeus. I'm going anyway. They're like, then you're banished. I don't know.
Didn't he like turn himself
Speaking
into a
of
duck
creeps.
and then bang some chick or something?
Who,
Zeus? Yeah.
Probably. That guy was freaky. They
Yeah,
locked
he
him in
like
his own
turned
room.
himself into a duck, I think.
Like just eating mushrooms every day.
Uh-huh.
God knows what those guys were. That cult was doing. I like to look at like history, like it probably really happened, like some of these old stories.
John kind of did.
Let's talk
Bible
about
and all.
James Tallarico texting little girls.
I was going to say,
do you
here's
think he's
he looks
on
like
this,
a creep.
does it
on this
matter?
subject,
On the
subject
subject
of
of
creeps.
Zeus,
Yeah.
because apparently like Zeus was a pedo, wasn't he?
probably.
For sure.
James Tallarico, this is a tweet that resurfaced from 2013 when he was 24. He goes, trying to help my former students pick the best high school, the job never ends. And you can see the first message from this presumably 13-year-old girl is, I'm good, exclamation point, exclamation point. Sir, school is getting intense. The I'm good implies he messaged her at 11:43 p.m. and posted at 11. Why is a teacher texting a student at all? Why is a teacher texting a young girl student at midnight?
And if this is what he put on Twitter, imagine
Isn't
what
he-
other
Yeah.
conversations were happening.
Here's a question. Isn't he the one that's also going around being like he has some relation to the evangelical church? And then I think.
Yeah.
No, he's
Right.
he's a Presbyterian.
But okay,
he's in the Peace USA, which is the very liberal.
But he's coming out and he's actually like speaking about God and being a preacher like on his
Yeah.
platform, right? Because I feel like I was just hearing Megan
I was
Basham or something
somebody-
talk about this.
maybe
That's
watching
his
a video
angle.
of
Is he's
this.
saying, well, I'm a Presbyterian. Of course, he hides the ball that he's in the PCUSA, and he says, I'm one of you. All you evangelicals in
But
Texas. I'm
Billy
one of
Graham
you."
just came out and said he likes it the way that I think it was this guy, the way that he's
Probably.
talking about Jesus on the stage. But this guy, like, this is creepy. First of all, the guy looks like a creep.
Yeah.
Like you can just tell they all have the face. He
Yeah.
has the face, right?
Is this guy running as Republican or as a Democrat?
Democrat.
Okay, so he's Texas. Is that what this is? Okay,
Yeah,
is he cool?
No.
No. First of all, no Democrat's cool, number one. Number two is that he said something else, too, though, that was a little controversial. Like, he was one of the people that said God was non-binary, and then he tried to walk that back a little bit. I think it's this guy.
Yeah,
by saying that, like, no, what I'm just saying is God can't be quantified in, like,
Right.
whatever, like, human terms. But The dude's a weirdo.
Yeah,
He's the one who was eating the chicken leg, pretending that he was back into meat the other day.
Yeah, it's like boilerplate Peace USA stuff where he's like, we have the Christian God, but also the God of the Torah and the God of the Quran and the God of the whatever the Indian book is. They're all the same God, and it's like, we fought wars over this actually.
How are Democrats responding to this? I haven't been on Twitter in days because I was sick. But like, how are they responding to this? Are they upset with?
No, I mean the only people talking about this is like the conservative commentariat. But the thing you got to understand about Tallarico is, people are now digging up all this stuff. I promise you, either Paxton or Cornyn had Oppo research ready to go, but they had to run against each other first. So now you're going to see. This is why everyone's like, Tallarico could win. I'm like, he has so many, not just skeletons in his closet, but skeletons that he posted on Twitter. And the reason you're not seeing Paxton and Cornyn go on and on about it is because they were focused on running against each other. Now that the primary is over, the media machine can now target Tallarico. He's dead. He's dead in the water.
Why did he tweet out that he was texting a 13-year-old?
Well, this was in 2013. This is a long time ago.
He tweeted it out in 2013?
Yep.
But why did he tweet it out?
Because he was a 24-year-old weird teacher who was texting with children, and he probably wasn't famous. He wasn't well known.
That puts this girl...
The
makes her
hashtag is
public,
weird.
which is weird too, to make a 13-year-old's information.
like-
Yeah, seriously, like the hashtag
That's the
one day is
hashtag-
weird.
The hashtag is real weird.
does
Like
that
one
mean?
day, what are you going to get to do? One day. Like that's creepy vibes to me. The hashtag is even worse. Like what is the one day about?
Former students.
Oh, so he's...
Why, to me, that would read one day he's going to get his objective and do something
Well,
with this Herrera
What else is in that hashtag?
unit.
Well, one day she's going to go to college? Is he trying to...
Well, let's click it and see what happens. I'm actually worried about what might pop up from this, so maybe we
never
shouldn't.
mind.
We should screen it first.
Yeah. But still, one day,
Maybe it was just one day she'll get into college.
bro.
Nah, it's a bunch of meaningless nonsense. Yeah.
His name reminds me of Talladega. He's got that going for him.
And that's probably the weirdest part about him is he has like a really Italian last name, but he's a Protestant. That's probably the most disturbing part of all of it.
Yeah,
Like,
that's
what
that
happened?
can't be permitted.
Yeah, what happened?
Was he like a Potemkin candidate? Or did someone just like install this guy? Or did he...
The
he's a
Democrats
state
are
rep.
the Democrats are betting on him because he's masquerading as a moderate Christian
Yeah.
with liberal values. So they're hoping that he can get the middle of the road. The problem is he's really weird.
Yeah, I think they
looks weird.
I think they
He has
initially
that look.
I think they initially thought he was like more of a David French type. And then it's turned out that he's just like a literal creep.
I really think
that David
that
French
Creepy.
is-
He's a creepy dude, and he said his campaign in 2022 had to go vegan, and now he's trying to run for a state position in the largest cattle ranching state in the country, one of the biggest cattle producers in the world, in fact.
this text message alone, like you reaching out to underage girls at 11 o'clock
Yeah,
at
at
night,
midnight.
should be just an automatic
Disqualifying. Yeah.
And like you put it out there. It's not like anybody's like, making it up or there's any investigation that needs to be done here. You put it up there yourself.
It's weird. She's a middle schooler talking about going to high school, and he's texting with her, and the Krasensteins are losing their mind. They were like, she saw it at midnight. Doesn't mean he was talking. Bro, she's actively typing. His phone says it's midnight. She's responding to his message she just saw, and there's no timestamp on any of the other messages, implying it all just happened. That's how timestamps work.
When did he tweet it out?
20, shortly after, 11:58.
Well, I wonder if November 12th was a weekday or weekend too.
Oh, that's a good point. Let's find out.
Find out.
So gross.
November
I mean,
12th.
dude, texting a middle schooler at 2 p.m. on a
2013.
weekday would still be weird.
It was a
Let alone-
Tuesday.
That's
He was
so
texting
weird.
a middle schooler on midnight on a Tuesday.
She should
Also-
be in bed. She should be in bed.
First of all, she shouldn't even
Hey,
have
wait.
a phone.
Also, people have pointed out that was 11/12/13. That's the date. The date was 11/12/13.
Ooh. Hashtag one day.
Dude, what is this world coming to? I think we're all cooked. I think this is done.
I agree.
We are totally on the downward.
Yeah, I mean, I think they.
Unless we have some crusades to come back. Other than that, we're done.
A crusade. Well, you know what the problem is? Like you were talking earlier about how smart Anglos made successful countries, but they were. It's not that they were smart Anglos. It's that they were smart, brutal Anglos.
Yeah. I mean,
I'm afraid to say that stuff on your show.
No, I mean, it's true that.
Like,
It is a fact that white colonists were brutal.
well, the part that I want to say is
That you want them to go back to being brutal colonists.
correct. Yes. I'm always like, oh,
It's funny how whenever you come on, everyone's just like, she's the most based. Like,
I'm just saying that, like, I really do want that. Like, and I know a lot of other people.
move to Uruguay.
I'm thinking it's a plan. Why don't you come along?
And it's not even necessarily that they were brutal per se. It's just that they felt like they had the right to civilize a region that was uncivilized, and I think that's like a perfectly natural.
Well, the view was back then, like there was a distinction between, like the races were viewed almost like species.
Yeah, broadly.
My thing is, it should be.
That's
a
why race
survival
mixing was
thing.
illegal. They, like, this is really important. Race mixing was viewed back then the way bestiality is viewed now.
Yeah, not as much bestiality. It's kind of like
No, yeah, it is.
pigeons doing canaries.
No. Like back, like miscegenation laws only went away in the past 60
know.
years. 200 years ago, they viewed it morally similar. That
agree.
if a white person and a black person were together, they viewed that morally the same as like a dude banging a sheep.
Yeah, I feel like because for like they also
It
thought
was a
like
crime.
they thought it wouldn't be productive reproductively, like kind of like I said, like a pigeon and a canary. Like how's that?
Well, I
gonna
mean,
work,
they were
right?
having kids.
Yeah, I know. But
Lots of slave masters had mixed race kids with their slaves.
Yeah, it goes back to like anyone that is a founding stock, whether you're white or black. If you're white and a founding stock, you probably do have like a bit of black ancestry, and then black Americans will likely have a bit of white ancestry.
I think different groups existed for a reason, right? Whatever reason that would be, whatever nature has decided that there are these groups of different people.
Ian pointed out that the Tibetan fox has slanty eyes.
Because of
And that's why Asians have,
Yeah, I
because
know.
of the Tibetan plains or
Because of the
whatever.
wind.
Black people probably have darker skin because of the area of the world their ancestors were in. Like
Correct.
either was
Bro, the
jungle-
Tibetan fox
But
is
you
like the
also
greatest
put
image
along-
ever.
Along with that came different customs and different
He kind of looks
abilities.
like
That's
you.
the most Asian.
Kinda
He kind of looks like me.
Genghis Khan. He does look like Tim.
Like I'm just
Guy
saying.
Genghis.
These
Bro, look at
things
this. Look at his
happen.
face. He looks almost smug, you know?
Super chill.
It's like whenever we order
Looks like
food,
he's a little
Tim will
high,
be looking
like-
out.
He's got slant.
Asians figured it out, dude. At least they look like they did.
Bro, he literally looks like if you were going to draw, like, if you were drawing
does look a little
an
cartoony.
Asian Looney Tune, you know what I mean? Like, that's what you would draw.
It's so amazing. I mean, this is the most wonderful evidence of racial realism. Is that what it's called? Yeah. Race realism. Duh, we're all different because of the
Right,
environment shifted
Oh,
our
it's a
ancestors.
Well, I think there's something good to that, and I think those separate. I don't think that we need to blend everything so that we're all like one big whatever. I
I mean,
think
it's a
there's
very
something
yeah.
unique and special about preserving those things.
And it's also like very natural that you'd want your children to like look like you.
I don't think
Yes.
because the value of crossbreeding genetics is you get the best from both.
Nah, I was very worried with my Greek husband that his genes were going to take over. They did not. My children are spitting images
Yeah,
of
but they're
me,
probably
and I'm so
pounding tzatziki
thankful.
all the time.
Well, I heard that, like, it changes, actually. Like, the babies will look like one of the parents, and then slowly over time, slowly start to look like the other parent.
I mean, they
Well,
do have different.
I mean, were you in kind of a weird
expressions
situation
phenotypes.
growing up where it was like you weren't Asian enough for the Asians, but not white enough for the whites? I hear
That's
it's
my
like-
whole life.
Yeah, I hear it's like a very common sentiment.
I did.
You're not like Asian.
I was doing well. So here's the thing,
I
though.
never thought you had
only the woke American Asians, like regular. It's actually interesting. I'm only a quarter, but if I went to like Chinatown, like the old Chinese lady would be like, "Which one of your parents is Asian?" And I'd be like, "Oh, you can tell." Like, "Oh yeah, of course." If I go, like when I went to Seoul, they were all super excited. They were like, "We want to learn more about you." And I was talking to this Korean woman. She was born in America, but she did work in Korea. She was like, "Oh, North Korea will walk you right in the door. Like, if you want to go to North Korea, they'll let you in, and you're a novelty. They'll like tell us about your ancestry. How did this happen?"
Yeah.
But the woke people are just the most vile, disgusting people. I was doing a report for Fusion on Cop Watch, activists who were like, filming police and stuff like this. And one of the women was explaining to me how cops are racist and how, growing up in the United States and having to deal with it. And when I agreed with her and mentioned things my family had dealt with, she attacked me immediately and said, "You're not real Asian. You're not Asian enough. You don't understand what you're talking about." She was She was born in America, but she was 100%, Asian of some sort.
It just reminds me.
And that's just like the most offensive thing to me. It's like, oh, shove off. You think you're so high and mighty. You think you're so special,
Yeah.
It reminds me of that morality study that they said. I'm going to send it to you in a second. Keep talking.
Well, when you go in high winds, Tim, do you have to squint less? Do you
I
feel like
don't squint at all. Yeah.
That's nice.
And when I get into fights, punches roll off my round Korean face.
Oh, that's
Is that
awesome.
true?
You're built for it.
No.
Well, there was that.
I got excited for a minute.
There was that old.
That's cool.
There was that old joke about like they were holding a group of Chinese people hostage and they blindfolded them with dental floss.
Ha ha.
Yeah,
Here, there's that study I want you to look at real quick, just
Where'd
because
you-
you just said that in the Timcast Slack.
I don't know if there's a drawback to having the eye. I call,
What
it's
is
called
this?
Squinty
I can't
eyes.
read it. It's
I don't
in
know if
Turkish.
that's like ethnically
I think
PC or
well,
whatever.
it's-
Is there a drawback to it?
Turkish.
epithelial.
It's not.
Because it is this psychobellum.
Yeah, epithelial.
So like,
What
does
did
it,
you? Yeah.
does it hinder eyesight?
Oh, it is
The
true.
more a person claims to be moral, that one.
Yeah, the more ruthlessly they treat others and the more lenient they treat themselves.
My eyes
Like
are pretty
studies that have been
narrow.
done.
Yeah, they are. Actually.
True.
I have the same.
True, that is the left.
The original was in Turkish.
Yeah, that's.
Do you guys want to learn something really interesting?
Yeah, but I think
There's,
Tate is Asian ancestry.
I think my eyes might be more narrow than Tim's.
So there's a food in Turkey called Iskender kebab. And do you know why it's called Iskender?
No.
Because Alexander the Great, when he came in, they thought which means they thought his name was the Iskander. Yeah. So they thought the proper noun was
That's
Iskander.
funny.
Yeah.
Alexander.
I like that.
Alexander. They thought it was the Iskander.
Oh.
Isn't that crazy?
Where is this from?
Turkey.
This is a Turkish.
Oh, the food. Did you
Alexander
guys
the
know that in
Great was
Turkey they have a dessert where you pull chicken and then mix it with a milk custard until it solidifies? And when I was in Turkey is fantastic. I love Turkey, by the way.
I like milk custard in general.
So they have like
Not bad yet.
it looks like it looks like a pudding almost, a little firm though, like a flan, and they burn the top with a torch. And I didn't know what it was, and I was like, "Oh, I'll get that dessert." And I'm eating it, and my friend, he's like, "You know that's chicken, right?" And I was like, "What are you talking about?" It's like a pudding, and he's like, "It's chicken." And I was like, "You're joking." And he's like, "They pull the chicken, and then they mix like milk, sugar, and egg into a custard, and it's chicken."
That kind of sounds great because then you get the
It's
protein
delicious.
and you get the good. Do you guys remember junket, like vanilla junket?
No.
Oh, they don't even make it anywhere. It's the best dessert on the planet. Vanilla junket. They don't. Junket. Junket.
Chicken, it's tuvu
what that
gosku.
reminds me of.
Oh yeah, here, check it out. Okay, here it is, right here. I think this is it. It's yeah. There you go. It's milk pudding with shredded chicken breast.
I bet it's delicious.
It is amazing.
I
didn't
bet
even
you
know
it
it
is.
chicken.
I
I was like, it's so good,
Any
and then-
type of milk custard, I'm down for.
dude. Istanbul is a lot of fun. It's a lot of fun.
Did you tour through
Beautiful.
Anatolia at all?
No, I've been to Istanbul and Antalya.
Did you go to Hagia Sophia?
There's so much
That's
history.
where I'd want to go.
Well, what's crazy is they have these bakeries where they pour the dough. It's like little strings into a big frying vat and make these big circular grain like fried dough discs, and then they dip the whole thing in syrup. That's what they eat.
That like sounds delicious to me.
It's amazing.
Yeah.
Real baklava at a real baklava bakery is, you know,
What's better than baklava? Gelato burriko. That is.
Listen, I gotta tell you. So, like in Chicago, of course, we had Mediterranean restaurants, and you could get baklava, and I was always like, it's good, phyllo dough with nuts. Then I go to Taksim, and they have these famous baklava shops from like the 1800s or whatever, indescribably different, amazing, honey, pistachio, walnut, man.
I have Greek in-laws that make that homemade. It's infinitely.
But
better than what you
I
get from
have
the
to
store.
stress this. I have to stress something. I got to stress this to all of the people out there who are watching this show. You must get yourself a wet hamburger.
What?
Yeah.
That doesn't sound.
It's called the Islak hamburger. And it's just, it's so good. It's they call it street food, but what they do is, so we like, I was in Istanbul for a couple weeks. So late at night when we were like, we'd hit the bar or whatever, and we're like, all right, let's go back to a hotel. There's a place like right below the hotel where you take it's a lamb burger. I think it's like lamb ground lamb.
Lamb's so good.
Put it on a bun, nothing else, and they dunk the whole thing in an oily like tomato pepper.
I could get down with that.
And it's like their White Castle. You ever have White Castle?
I've never had White Castle. I've never had.
Yeah, but
Sonic
you know what
either.
it is.
Yeah, I do know what it is.
White Castle sliders are like that late night I'm drunk and hungry food.
Yeah.
And that's what a wet hamburger is. They're called Islak burgers.
Sliders. Like
Okay,
they're
so it's
so
ground beef.
gross. They just slide
Tomato,
right out.
garlic, tomato paste, sugar, spices.
Yeah, it sounds delicious.
And they were like a buck. And you'd walk in and just like they have them under a heat lamp and you just
I love street food though, like that. Anywhere I go, like I do like.
Oh, dude, walking down Istiklal Boulevard, the big merchant like boulevard in Istanbul.
Don't they use like gutter
And they
oil,
have
though?
there'll be a guy in a street corner with a big bucket full of clams. And people just walk up and they toss him some money and they hand you the clam, spray some lemon, you eat it, and they're literally pulled from the water, like just straight up.
Any of those street foods oils, like in China, I've read they use gutter oil where they'll like find
That's
like
China,
motor
bro.
oil in the street and use that, or in India,
That's
where
gonna make me
whatever
sick.
they
China
can
where
find.
they did the fried rocks. And, they
What?
All right. We
Yeah.
you guys got to get some questions in right now. We're gonna get a few minutes for questions. Taylor Wren's ex-wife says, "Tim, please make one recommendation of something I should do when I'm in Seoul in July." I guess it depends on what you want to do. I'll give you a handful of recommendations. When I was there with Luke Rutkowski. We had a lot of fun. We went to this war museum, and it was the funniest thing ever because it was like talking about this great Korean general, this naval general, and it was like there's a little diagram of the ships, the Korean ships, defeating the Japanese, and you're following this timeline of his great military victories. The only problem is, it's like, here at the Great Battle, 500 Korean ships met 500 Japanese ships, and the general won a tremendous victory. And then you like walk to the next display, and it's like, in the next great battle, 300 Korean ships confronted the 500 Japanese ships in a tremendous victory. They were routed. And then you walk to the next one, and it's like, the general's next famous battle where 100 Korean ships were up against 500 Jap. And I'm like, wait, hold on. It sounds like he's losing. Basically what they were doing was they were like, out of the 50 battles where he won 3, they highlight the 3 great battles of this general, but he's just getting crushed the whole time. Oh, brutal. That's fun. You can go to the raccoon cafes, the dog cafes. I don't recommend the dog cafes. People think you go to a dog cafe and it's like you eat food and the dogs are all nice and polite. Nope. They open the door, the dogs run in, slobber, they're pissing and pooping everywhere, jump up on the table going at you, and you gotta like, you're not having a good time. The raccoon cafes aren't even really cafes. You just go into a building where there's raccoons sitting there eating, and it's fun. You can pet them and stuff.
Yeah, I like the record.
I recommend Korean barbecue because it is the greatest thing ever. Just the best food. Healthy, meat, bulgogi. You got to get bulgogi. Everybody knows it. And, good fun.
What is it?
Tokyo's great too.
What is it about the Korean barbecue that's better than just
So
regular
good.
barbecue?
Korean barbecue is not barbecue in the American sense. Korean barbecue is they give you raw meat and you cook it on the grill, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So if you can get marinated stuff too, but what I love about Korean barbecue is we go and I'll just say, give me non-marinated short rib and give me non-marinated thinly cut pork belly, and then you eat it with some kimchi.
We did that in Florida.
By the way, I just
Korean
saw that
barbecue's the best.
kimchi pulls microplastics out of your gut.
So they
This is
say.
a great article I just posted on Twitter.
I gotta say, when I was a kid, I hated kimchi. Now I love it.
It's amazing.
And I'll give you a funny story. This one's for my daughter when she's old enough and she can watch these old episodes. She grabs this like decently sized piece of kimchi and she puts it in her mouth and she's only got one tooth. She's on it, and then she goes, ah! And then we start laughing, and then she just goes right back for it and she finishes. She loves kimchi.
That's about how it goes.
The funniest thing ever was when my mother-in-law was like, "Have you ever tried blue cheese?" And she's like, and so gave her the blue cheese, and it looked like she was having a seizure.
It's an
She was like,
acquired-
I started wiping it off her tongue.
That's how I felt.
I still don't like blue cheese. My daughter used to
ate
eat
blue
raw
cheese.
onions when she was a baby. She loved it. Like my dad would go on the boardwalk and they had this like place where you get roast beef and they serve raw onions in a little cup, and she would take them by the handful and eat them.
I ate
Let's
like an apple once.
Let's grab some of these questions. We got Esfera says, "How do you like the Chandra skate deck? I see it in frame. It's great. We put it on the Magic the Gathering shelf, and you can see it now when we have guests in that chair. You can see it. Appreciate it, man. Really do. It's fantastic. Big Magic the Gathering fan."
Chandra no have not seen
Did you see Russia hitting a NATO country with a missile? I did. I don't know. I guess we were just kind of goofing off today.
see it.
Yeah. Was it Romania who got hit?
I think it was Romania.
Yeah, something like that. All right. Next up, here we go. We've got Doc Bone. It's just been exposed that the bad Maryland ballots already mailed out, which voters were told have been voided, are in fact not void, and MD voters are now being told to use them. At this point, is it even possible to trust our elections at all? Oh, and Tate is a mean man for refusing to pick me up to crowd surf at the ATR show. Tate Brown held me down.
Oh, man.
I'm so sorry.
First of all, the only reason that Tate was crowd surfing at all was because I did it first.
Yeah, I know. We really needed Lisa there. If you felt shortchanged by the crowd surfing situation, it's because Lisa wasn't there. So I'd say the blame should actually be applied to Lisa.
Fair.
Okay.
We got a question here. Let's grab. Let's see if we can get a couple more in here. We got I Gregor. Do you guys think people would stop immigrating here and move back if we started fining these countries for the citizens invading ours? Then if they don't start paying by a certain date, we bomb certain areas and conquer it as our own.
I like this plan.
I got to be honest. Would people stop coming here if we threatened to bomb their home countries and take over? The answer is yes. But then they'd still be here because we took their countries. So
No, they wouldn't.
And
Send them home first.
if we conquer their country, they are here. Get it?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, if we make Guatemala the 51st state, they are now part of. They are now here.
if we bomb,
They
their
don't pay the
cities-
fines first, right?
Can we make it a state and not let them have a
I have a question for you, Lisa. They say that there are people who say like we should turn the Middle East to glass. What substance would Guatemala turn into? It's not sand. It wouldn't become glass. Smoldering ash. But that's not funny. Glass is funny because of the implication.
Yeah, I don't care what it turns
think
into.
it would
just as long as
improve.
the
I think
people from
Guatemala-
there stop bothering us.
Guatemala would just improve overnight.
But they no longer have bananas.
Wouldn't the soil eventually, like as long as we didn't do with like chemical radioactive stuff, wouldn't it eventually like turn over and all that organic material would go in and like get it back into the soil and
Yeah.
become extremely
trying to help them.
fertile?
Ash.
What we need is an alligator moat stretching the entire southern border. Wasn't that
why
what
don't we put,
they
like-
claim Trump
Well, like
suggested
Alka-
that?
Yeah, why don't we put
Alcatraz.
piranhas in the Rio Grande? That would solve all the problems.
Yeah,
Are they not already in it?
I don't know. We need
They're only
to.
in Africa.
we're just toast anyway. Like I'm
no,
sorry.
I'm-
Everybody
I say we all go to Uruguay. There's a lot more to the there's a lot more to the question, but he adds, related to the cousin talk earlier, what if that is the real reason population is decreasing? It's because large chunk of the population just isn't into it anymore since they can't be related to it.
That's so gross.
That's why immigrants are
theory.
reproducing at higher rates. Why are you saying they're all banging their cousins?
No, I just think it's because
an
women are
interesting theory.
brainwashed and their minds have been polluted, and that's the real problem.
Yeah.
Haiti says, I appreciate you informing me about some of the info I missed yesterday involving Massey's poll. I might have been better informed if you came around and talked on occasion here in what is supposed to be your Discord. Question for the panel. How can we get Vivek charged for the volumes of fraud he committed with the miserably failed Alzheimer's medicine and get Casey Push into the running for governor? Can we get Trump to hold him accountable? If not, who do we go to? Nobody, because Trump's pro H-1B.
Which is also, well, I gotta be nice. It's a problematic.
You know
I want
what I
nobody
can't stand?
else to come
You know
in here, ever.
You what?
I want no one else to come in here ever again. I
Why?
don't even want you to visit.
Yeah. It's time to go to Uruguay.
That's what we should do.
I made a post after Massey made his post, and I said, what is the greatest threat to liberty in the United States? And I said, Russia, China, Iran, not Israel, though they're great. Those are your choices. And then all the anti-Israel people were so mad. I'd be like, well, I'm going to pick it anyway. And I'm like, so you think Israel's great?
Yeah. Trap.
It's a trap. All right, everybody. Smash the like button. Share the show with everyone you know. It's been fun. This is great.
It was a
we're
fun
looking at-
day.
Yeah. Fridays are always just so chill and so much more fun. That's why I was like, let's just roll and,
I'm going to
and
start playing music again on
then-
Fridays.
yeah.
Talking to Carter about that.
we've talked about doing it. Yeah.
Used to take a
and
half hour at the end of the show.
it's always fun having Lisa around when she says things like she wants to get rid of sand countries or
I
whatever.
still mean to stand by it 100%. Do not mince words. I
Do you want to shout anything out?
No, just thank you for having me. It's been good to be down here. I should stop in a little more often. It's just such a long
Well, we set
drive,
up the
but
DC studio,
then I'll be down all the time.
but we're hoping to have one.
Green ride.
We're looking to set up a temporary one almost immediately as we build out a full set, and it's going to be crazy. It's going to be a lot of crazy
Talking
stuff.
to them Monday, so I'll get
Yeah.
more info then.
Yep.
Yeah, you can follow me on X and Instagram at Real Tate Brown. Come give me a follow, and make sure you follow. She won't ever shout out; she's too humble. Make sure you follow Lisa Reynolds on Twitter. That is vital, a vital essence. You're missing out on vital Patriot correspondence if you're not following. her.
I honestly don't want people to think like that I'm trying to be an influencer or something. I've never tried to grow any of my pages. Like that's not my MO.
I've seen you like tell people to unfollow you, but the following count still goes up.
It does.
People just are desperate to hear from you.
I'll try. Maybe I should tweet a little more. I was making a couple $100 a month for a
Yeah.
minute, but
That's where it's at.
now I
At
just retweet.
At Twitter, follow me at Ian Crossland on the internet. I'm pretty much all over the place, so hit me up anytime. I probably won't respond. Good to see you, Carter Banks.
He won't respond, but he reads everything.
This
And
very
I
like
also read the ones that I'm tagged in talking about swear jars and whatnot. But you can follow me at Carter Banks everywhere and the label Trash House Records on YouTube Tim.
We'll see you guys with clips throughout the weekend. We're back on Monday. Thanks for hanging out.